to my calls and know your way. Taking your time means wasting mine. I'll wait and decide when you change your mind. Oh, take a good look, babe. Kiss it all goodbye. Late at night, she gets needy. Pay the price, it's a freebie. Told her she don't need me. Told me keep the receipt. And if I call her out, she'll ask me what I'm talking about. Now she's walking out. Does she comes out tomorrow? Tomorrow, always comes back tomorrow. Got a new chance tomorrow. Late at night, I get 1,000 calls. On and on, all off the wall. She says same thing all day long. And I can't sit and listen to the same old song. Can't sit around and wait all night. Oh, late at night she gets needy. Pay the price, it's a freebie. Told her she don't need me. Told me keep the receipt. And if I call her out, she'll ask me what I'm talking about. Now she's walking out. Till she comes out tomorrow. Tomorrow, always comes back tomorrow. Got a new chance tomorrow.
And that was Late at Night by Ordinary People. And welcome to Radio Graffiti on Newgrounds Radio. And on today's show, we have famed illustrator on Twitter.com and Instagram, and now on Newgrounds, MEATGIRI, aka Meat Girl. Welcome to the show, Meat.
Hi. Happy to be on.
Yeah, no, we've been like talking about having you on for like a long while,
I
and
know.
I'm glad that we're able to like finally set it up.
I
Waiting
know.
a few months and everything. But for everybody that's tuning in right now, if you're from Newgrounds, welcome. Meat is an artist online. She's been drawn for how long would you say like your online career goes for?
Well, I've like been posting art online since like 3rd grade, but I would say that like it started really going off and I started really like being like, oh, okay, I'm MEATGIRI, and like 2020 during quarantine. So I guess like around like 3 years. But obviously I've been sharing stuff for longer.
Yeah. So, wow, that's a relatively recent career. If,
Yeah.
if you said you started from like 2020, like during quarantine.
Yeah, no, it has been a very strange 3 years in terms of like my art career growing and everything that came with it. But like it's been super fun and cool and crazy, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's I thought you've been around for like way longer, but I guess like you've been skyrocketing over the past like few years.
Yeah, no, I've been like, I mean, okay, maybe I'm being like a little hyperbolic when I say, oh, it's only been 3 years, because like I have been sharing art and for like a long time, like especially like I would say that the other big time I was like sharing art and it was quote unquote like gaining traction was in high school with Homestuck, but I don't think that counts.
The Homestuck days, okay.
Homestuck is like the wild, wild west. Like if you were there, whatever happens during the Homestuck days stays in the Homestuck days, basically.
I feel like that's how I think Homestuck started like a lot of people's careers actually, in terms of art, like especially gaining traction online.
Yeah. It's like I have, and I mean like not to say that like the Homestuck fandom doesn't still exist, because obviously it does, and there's like a lot of new like content and a lot of like new writers and stuff, but like man, like the early to mid 2010s Homestuck experience was truly a you had to be there sort of thing. It was like an internet juggernaut. and like its own self-sustaining fan like ecosystem. It was very cool, and it's really cool to see a lot of the artists that I looked up to back then and see like where they are now in terms of like, are they in the industry? Do they have their own original works now? I wonder if people remember me when they see my shit, even though I was like 16, like 16 to 18 during those like years. So I don't know. I feel like Homestuck was like just a really interesting and unique like fandom space to have existed in and improve your art in. But I liked it. And
Yeah,
I
there
don't know if I
was.
could ever, yeah. I don't know if there's ever going to be like a Homestuck again.
Well, I mean, technically there's Homestuck 2. I don't know if that's still going on, but
I but that like that doesn't count because it's like it has to be like a new thing that basically just, well, you know what, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself because I don't know like all the ins and outs of certain fandoms that exist, and I'm sure there's probably a huge fandom for a thing that I don't know about that has been just existing
well,
for
I was about to
Epsines.
say actually, cause there's Undertale and Deltarune, that's
That's true.
hyper massive. That also was like Homestuck adjacent,
That is true. Toby Fox, love
and
you.
even on Newgrounds right now, there's well, not even Newgrounds. It's escaped like the Newgrounds hold, but Friday Night
Hmm.
Funkin' by Ninja Muffin. Uh,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I I really want. I played Friday Night Funkin' and I was garbage at it, which is so sad because I love rhythm games. But I really liked it when it was like new and just coming out. I was like, damn,
yeah,
this shit's
and
fun.
yeah, and then they had like the whole week system that they were doing, where they were just making
Hmm.
new content like week by week for it and adding it to the game. And
That's
then the
crazy.
Kickstarter finished, and they've been in development ever since. And outside of all that, while everyone's waiting for the game to come out finally, uh,
Hmm.
mods were being made like crazy, and the whole modding community for Friday Night Funkin' is
Oh
insane.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of the mods for Friday Night Funkin'. It is great. There's one that I saw that I really, oh my god, there was a Bluey one. I saw a Bluey
There's
versus
a
Peppa Pig one.
Bluey.
There's a Bluey mod, baby, and it was so good. I think it was Bluey versus Peppa Pig, and I really liked it because I saw it at the time when I was like drawing like a lot of fan art for Bluey. So I was like, this rips. I love it.
Was it like animated in the style of Bluey, where it's just like that very well tweened animation?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if it's like super well tweened, but it was like in the art style, and like it was moving pretty smoothly. And then the other one was Peppa Pig, and it was animated exactly like how Peppa Pig is animated because Peppa Pig is bad.
That
Just kidding.
is
I love Peppa Pig.
that is very funny. I like what? I don't doubt the Bluey community
Yo,
developing.
the Bluey community slays. It's a very, I what was it? You know how like there's all those like quote retweet like tweet engagement things going around where it's like, what's your craziest Twitter experience? And I posted mine today where it was like, what was your greatest Twitter controversy? And I was like, oh, this was more so a controversy on TikTok, but it started on Twitter. But basically, like last year, I made a bunch of like Bluey Gajinkas, like human
Oh yeah,
Bluey
I remember
designs.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And for literally weeks to months, people have been fighting in my notifs, in my TikTok comments, in my Instagram comments about whether or not my designs are Australian enough and also whether or not they just are accurate to what the characters look like. And I'm just like, bro, they're dogs. They're all rectangle dogs. What are you talking about? It was
Accurate to the
crazy.
characters. What do they define as Australian? That's what I'm curious about. Like, what looks Australian?
Okay, so I had against my will, not against my will, because at first when I did start designing like the Bluey designs, like when I just did the original like healer family, um, I was looking at like I was looking more into like, oh, what's their vibes, um, and then like I posted my first art and I got a bunch of feedback from like, and that was like well-meaning feedback. They were like, wow, this is really good, but I think their outfits might be a little too warm for Australia, especially in like the region that they live in, which is Brisbane. And I was like, okay, no, that's fair. That's a fair criticism. Like that makes sense. So I changed it, and then I just got more people being like, I've never seen an Australian wear this outfit before. And I'm like, really? You've never seen a person in Australia wear jeans and a t-shirt?
No, that's bullshit. I'm
don't know.
calling bullshit on that one. Oh,
I
but
literally like, what are you talking about?
just to cue people and explain what Bluey is for anybody listening to the show, in case they don't know.
So Bluey is this Australian like preschool show about like a family of dogs, and it's been like very highly praised for its writing. Its animation is also beautiful, its character design is also beautiful, but predominantly the writing is really popular because it's one of those shows that just so happens to also appeal a lot to the parents. Like there's like and of course it first started out with like parents of kids who watch Bluey like end up just watching the show themselves, and then word of mouth spreads that, oh, this show's actually good for like adults to watch too. So, and basically it like started spreading like that. It's like an animation Twitter darling. Like everyone loves Bluey. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. And I started watching it like last year because me and my friend, like after a night out of just like clubbing and partying in Brooklyn, we were like wasted back at her apartment. I was like dead on the couch, and like unceremoniously she just puts it on Disney Plus, and I'm just like, yo,
Wait,
this
was
is
it
so
on that
good.
late? After
It
clubbing?
was no, we were like, it was on Disney Plus, so we were like streaming it.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, but literally, I'm like talking like crossfaded as hell. Like I'm like dying and like I'm like, I'm just dead. And we just spend like an hour and a half just watching Bluey, and the episodes are like 8 minutes long, so we like watched a million of them.
That's a fun experience to get into. I still haven't seen a single Bluey episode. I've seen like little bits of animation here and there.
You
And
gotta get into it. It's so good. It's
uh,
it's so good. Don't listen to anyone who's like, it's just a preschool show. Something interesting that the creators actually said, because obviously a lot of people people have interviewed them, but they said something about where they're like, yeah, Bluey is intended for children, but we don't want to think of it as a children's show. We want to think of it as more like The Simpsons, where it's like it's a cartoon, but it can appeal like generation wise. And I was like, whoa. I don't know if The Simpsons is for kids per se, but I get what they're talking about.
yeah, I can understand
The sentiment.
the sentiment of like wanting your show to hit as many people as possible, or like appeal to as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I can
Yeah.
understand like, how parents would enjoy it too, because they're like, oh yeah, I relate with like, the folks of in Bluey and how they're dealing with
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah, no, it's like it's really fun. I feel like I'm so behind on watching like things that are that are like new and popular in animation world. Like I don't know, what is it? I like I spent all of last year just like watching Bluey and The Simpsons, and and like Hey Arnold. Like I binged all of that in
Oh
like
yeah, you were
a
rewatching
month.
Hey Arnold for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I had COVID, so I just spent that whole time watching Hey Arnold
Yeah, you
and
got.
Evangelion.
Oh yeah, that's where the crossover bit came from, because like, okay, you were watching both at the same time,
Yeah.
and then
And
some
like
wires crossed in your head, and you're like, you know what, Helga and Asuka can wear the same outfit.
Helga and Asuka are the same person. Like I saw someone say something that was like, "Oh, Helga is the first like Western example of a
Of a
tsundere,"
tsundere. Oh my
and I was
god.
like, "Wait, you're like kind of right though." Like she is like Asuka basically, and was it I mean, yeah, like it really just stemmed from the fact where I was watching like Evangelion, and I was like, "Yo, Asuka's got like issues, kind of like Helga," and
Helga
then I
has
ended
issues
up,
too. Yeah, so yeah.
yeah, it
I
makes sense.
I wouldn't say Helga has like issues as bad as Asuka though, but
Oh yeah, well, Helga doesn't live in a reality where like there's alien angels attacking them and like child soldiers and whatnot. So
Oh,
I think
but
she's okay.
I can see Helga's mom pulling an Oscar mom situation.
No! Oh my god, that's so awful.
That's
Where
dark,
it's
but like, yeah.
no, you know what is even funnier? And like that because like and like you brought it up, like I did like I also I guess it's one of the other things that I am quote unquote known for is my Evangelion slash Hey Arnold crossover. Um and when obviously everyone's like, oh, who's so and so, who's like Misato, and I made Misato Olga, Helga's older sister, which doesn't make sense, but I think it just looks good. I just wanted to draw Olga in Misato's outfit.
Okay, you make a fair point. Sometimes it's just about the aesthetic. You don't need to think too hard about it. Who's
Exactly.
Kaji?
Oh my god, I have no idea. I don't think I ever went that far because it would have to be someone who like Olga can like have a relationship with, but I don't think she ever oh well, I guess she did. There was like an episode where Olga's getting married and the guy turns out to like just want her dad's money. So I guess him, but like
So
Kachi
does
was
the
a
guy?
good guy.
Well, I mean, Kaji also did walk out on Misato, so
Okay, but like Kaji okay, wait. I Kaji was like playing 4D chess on everyone. He was like
okay.
a what? Like a triple agent?
Okay, before we turn this into an Evangelion podcast,
Oh.
um, for anybody listening, Ava is a show from 1997, made by or directed by Hideaki Anno, with Studio Gainax, way back in the day, and it's a
1997, that's my birth year.
that's birth year for you. All right,
Yeah.
awesome. You were born the same time that Ava came out. I think it was 96,
Woohoo.
97, but
Oh.
I mean, still, it was airing during that time.
Yeah.
But hyper popular mecha anime, pseudo mecha anime.
It was like it started off as a mecha anime and then it turned into something so much more.
Yeah.
And then in like recent years it turned into something so much less, aka the thing that Ano did not want it to be, which was like waifu bait central. But
Well, it was
it's
always kind
okay.
of that, honestly.
Yeah. No, but like he kind of shot himself in the foot there where he was like, all that these like otakus want nowadays are like sexy girls in like sexy girls in like skin tight outfits. So I'm gonna make an anime that comments on that and calls them all disgusting in the movie.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm just
with
like, you still just made sexy girls in skin tight suits, Ano. you you satirized it all wrong.
well, you say that, but I also really like the message of 4.0 of just like, growing up to be like, all right, guys, here it is.
True. I also watched all of the rebuilds, like front to back, like beginning to end for the first time when I had COVID, so I was like
Oh
very
my
sick.
god, you were not through the whole period of waiting for the next one to come out. Oh my
I
god.
did. Okay, you know what? No. I had watched Evangelion when I was like in high school, and I watched maybe two of the rebuilds then, but then I was like, but when I was in high school, I was such an asshole. I was such a purist, like an original series purist. I was like, I'm not gonna watch the rebuilds because I don't want to. It's supposed to be vintage. But now that I'm like older and like have common sense, I'm like, why would I turn away free content, more content of the anime that I like?
Yeah,
So
especially like,
yeah,
an alternative telling of like, the same story pretty much.
yeah, basically. And then like 4.0 like really threw me for a loop. I don't like I like watched it and I left that whole like movie feeling like I don't know if I like it's like things that I did not expect would happen happened, but I'm not mad about it. I'm more so like, huh, I guess that really is just how life is sometimes.
Yeah, that movie, I think the time that it came out is exactly when I needed to see it. because it
True.
was a very
What
like
was it? Was it 2020? It was last year, right?
I think it was 2022. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's basically why I started rewatching Evangelion like from the beginning because I knew that 4.0 came out and I was like, shit, I should probably actually watch the rebuilds and stop being such a dick.
No, it came out 2020. So and then in
2020.
yeah, then in US theaters it was like 2021. So yeah,
Oh, so
yeah,
I was just really late.
2021 tracks. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. 2021 was a year.
I think it was supposed to come out sooner, but again, like through the like what would you call this? What would be the euphemism for COVID?
Uh, the the euphemism, the pandemic.
The pandemic. Yeah. Okay.
The other word for it.
Yeah. Then that hit, and then
Yeah, that makes sense. Huh, that's
but yeah.
crazy. I didn't realize I guess I was just late to the game. But yeah, watching all of the rebuilds while having a fever, I don't know if it added to the experience or subtracted from it, but I really left that entire week feeling like a husk of a person.
Yes, watching them all back to back like that, yeah, I can feel that.
It was crazy, but it did inspire a lot of creative it basically like kickstarted a lot of like me drawing more. Like I don't think I've uploaded like any of my like Hey Vangalion stuff on Newgrounds, but I probably should.
Oh no, they
It's
would absolutely love it. I mean, like Newgrounds already like really appreciated your work on there as soon as you like started to drop. Like literally the same day, I think you have the speed run like
oh my god, yeah.
championship
Wait,
for
well,
like front page.
what the fuck was it? It was like 3 front page features in like a week,
Yeah, back to back.
back to back. And then what was it? One of them, like two of them, you said something where it's like, oh, these two pieces were like uploaded on different days, or
And
like on the same day, but they front page on different days.
yeah, that never happens. So
I,
you had a guardian angel like picking out your work.
I was like, wow, they like me. They really like me. It was very cool. And then I disappeared for like 3 months.
Yeah.
It's okay. It happens. But yeah, I should probably. Oh my god, I didn't even fucking mention. But like, okay, so you know, like the Shinji chair like meme where he's like sitting in the chair and
Yeah.
he's like sad. So I obviously drew that. I redrew that with like Arnold. And fucking Craig Bartlett, the creator of Hey Arnold, reposted it on his Instagram for like Fan Art Friday. And
Oh yeah, I
many,
remember that. Yeah.
and so many people in the comments are like, Craig, do you know what Evangelion is? Craig! Craig, do you know it's a reference?
I think they gotta respect him a bit more. He's not that old.
He's not that old. Also, he's like talked about like anime before, so I'm pretty sure he knows what Evangelion is. But if that's the case and he like knows what Evangelion is, I want him to weigh in on my casting for the characters. I want to know how he would cast the Hey Arnold characters in Evangelion, if I'm like on the money with it, or if he's like, no, Olga should not be Misato. It should be someone else.
I think you
But-
would need to like actively watch Evangelion to be like, okay, which of these characters is most similar to this character that we worked on.
At least it's indisputable that like Helga is Asuka.
Oh yeah,
That's
no,
like
that's tough to argue against.
Yeah, that's like a given. But yeah, no, that was quite honestly possibly, and like by that time I had been making so much Evangelion. I had been making so much Hey Arnold art. And I'm like, this is the one. This is the one that he wants to share. The
Yeah.
meme.
It's not even the one that's like the Helga and the shrine that you made.
Oh my god, the one that friggin' took me like, what was it, like 3 friggin' days? That was for Shortaki week, which is like the Arnold like Helga like ship week, where it's like every day has a theme and then like you draw like a thing based on the theme. And I like only drew one thing because I spent so much time on the Helga shrine one, and I was like, fuck it, man. This is the only thing I'm contributing. It wasn't even that. He didn't even. No, he did like he did comment on it. He gave it a fire emoji, and I was like, "Thank you.
This is very
That's
funny.
very, that's very articulate of you, Craig."
No, I remember the one time like he posted on Instagram like he took my piece with like Helga with
I
the
was
hole
gonna
in her chest.
say,
Yeah.
wasn't that like, cause fucking, like, cause we have, I think like, I found that so funny, cause like I think that came, like you made that, cause we were talking about how like you don't make fan art that often.
Yeah.
Like I think we had like a conversation like before you made that, and then you made that, and you immediately got reposted by Craig Bartlett like a day later, and I was
That's
like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
it was very funny. Yeah.
I was like, "What is this?"
Because I didn't expect it at all. I was just like, this is a very moody Hey Arnold piece that I did, and to me it was just like something that I make for myself, and I wrote like a little poem with it too.
Yeah, yeah. I really liked it. I thought it was very. I was like, yeah, this is very. What is it? What's the word? It was a very affective piece, not effective. Affective. It affected me.
Yeah, no, that's a fair way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I
I
just
thought it
like
was really good.
thank you, and I haven't drawn any Hey Arnold fan art since. So
SMH. I know Craig is like, where is he? Where's? Oh, I want more. No, but there's like a
it's
bajillion Hey
yeah,
Arnold. Like, there's a bajillion Hey Arnold fan artists. Like, they're all out there. You just have to find them. They're all out there,
it was
and
a
you will
very
find them.
it was a very impactful show when it came out.
Mm-hmm. 100%. It's like it was. Oh, like it was one of those things where I was like, I didn't realize how much lore I retained of it from my childhood until I rewatched it as an adult. Cause like I would go through episodes and I'd be like, holy shit, I remember this episode when like Harold like saves the kitty. Or I remember this episode where like Helga goes to therapy, which of course is like the episode everyone remembers. But like in general, also, and I'm still mad about this. I'm still mad about the fact that like Hey Arnold is supposed to be set in Washington and not Brooklyn, which
That's
it looks
such a
exactly like.
no. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my theory of when like Hey Arnold's not a like the place that it takes place in. I forget what's the
Mhm.
name of the city.
It's a like Hillwood.
It's not a real place. It's not. It's I think it's based off of multiple different real cities in the world.
Yeah, I think was it. I think Craig. It's. I know it's like. I know Brooklyn was like a big inspo, but also like San Francisco. But I think like the New York influence was just too strong. Like they got Stoops and a Subway.
Yeah, that's like, come on.
Come on.
All the
I
pigeons
remember
too, like pigeon coops that used to be a thing in New York at the time.
literally like Pigeon Man.
Yeah,
There's a whole episode about pigeons. No, there was what was it? I tweeted about how outraged I was that Hey Arnold takes place in quote unquote a city in Washington. And someone replied and was like, as a Washingtonian, I agree because I've lived here all my life and I've never seen a stoop.
yeah. I'm like, I've been to Seattle, and I'm like, Seattle is nothing like this. I don't know, like
Where
what other like towns in like Washington are of note.
it's Forks because that's where Twilight takes place.
Oh well, I mean, but like, come on.
I mean, hey, don't knock on Forks, okay? Because ever since Twilight came out, it's like a tourist spot for like Twilight fans now. And like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for that town. If anyone is from Forks, sound off. But
But I
I
mean,
guess Forks is now like another place you could visit in Washington that is of note, but only if you care about this very niche thing.
yeah, but I cannot see a stoop happening in Forks.
Stoop in yeah, no.
Yeah,
Listen,
so
Forks is like a small town, small town.
yeah.
It's like an itty bitty town. But yeah.
But like aside from, I was planning on getting on fandom stuff later, but we just like jumped into it like immediately because of like that's how it
I'm
happened.
sorry.
No, you're all good. But I wanted to like get your opinion on what it's
Mhm.
like being an artist online currently right now. because I definitely have my own opinions on that, but I want to hear like
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about it, or like get your audience to figure out how you feel
Okay.
about it.
I I th- like it's interesting reflecting on it like right now because right now I don't want to say I'm burnt out because I feel like if I say it that's admitting defeat because I am still like drawing. It's just like more so for myself and stuff. I'm not really sharing a lot of the stuff I'm posting. But I feel like becoming an artist or like I've or like becoming an artist with a following online has been a very like it's been a very cool experience. It's crazy. Like posting your art and then getting hundreds of like feedback from different platforms too because I don't just post on Twitter. I post on Instagram and even like TikTok sometimes and now Newgrounds. So it's like I'm constantly motivated to want to draw, but sometimes I'm like, yo, am I drawing for like me or am I drawing for like my audience? Because I know this is something that they might have asked for in the past. Or so like that's like a big like back and forth I get into where it's like, oh, if I draw this thing, am I drawing for like myself or am I drawing for so I can have something to post? And I think that's something that I'd started struggling with a lot towards the end of last year because last year was a really prolific year for me in terms of like online like cool online cool gigs. Like last year, what the fuck happened? Last year like my bluey art went like viral. Like it was on like Australian news sites, which is crazy. It was like
You've been
on
on news multiple times. That's pretty like wild to me.
yeah, it was like on like and I don't know what like the American equivalent of it is, but it was like it was a major Australian like news channel and two of them made articles about like my bluey art. So that was crazy. And then I entered the Simpsons like fan art contest for like their Treehouse of Horror, and my crusty art was on TV. And not to make this the 30 seconds of me flexing, but it's just to kind of like put into perspective how crazy last year was. Like I feel like it was a very everything happened at the same time and it was really overwhelming. It was super cool and super incredible. But I think now I'm in like that sort of like coming down moment where I'm like, okay, I need to like slow it down for myself a little. But ba- uh but to answer your question, being an artist online is it's it's a privilege and also kind of like a responsibility. Like
Mm-mm-mm.
it's very awesome to be able to share my work and get and reach like hundreds of people or possibly get noticed by someone in the industry for like offers or like brand deals or something like that or getting published. Like I like my art was also in like a Simpsons like fan book last year. And um and like that's so like incredible. Like I don't think I ever fathomed my art getting to that point, but then at the same time it's very much like every time something cool happens I'm just like, oh man, is this it? Where do I go from here? What else
What's the
do I
next bit?
do?
Yeah, no, that's actually that's something that goes on a lot with like a lot of professional work. Like once you start working
Mhm.
professionally or
Mhm.
start treating something professionally, it
Mhm.
doesn't become like, oh hey, I did it. It's more like, okay, what's next? What am I gonna be doing now? Or like, what's
Exactly.
the next step? I made a book, cool. When's my next book coming out? And
Exactly.
that's my own personal like case for it, but like
Mhm.
that's how I feel like most professional artists go into it. It's like there's no satisfaction in the professional level. It's just like, how do I pursue this further or how do I like expand on this?
Exactly. No, yeah, like that like where do I go from here mentality is it's so like people, I guess people don't really realize like once you really start amassing an audience for yourself, like I don't know, I feel like I see a lot of people, and maybe I'm just lucky to say this because now I'm at a point where I can say I have platforms, and again, I'm so grateful Like this is like I am beyond lucky to have the platforms that I do have and like the fans that I do have who send such kind things to me all the time. But I just worry for people who see see having a platform as like it's just an overall net positive because it does come with a lot of social pressures
Oh,
that
there's a lot of yeah.
yeah, that being a public figure in any sort of capacity kind of and like I know I'm sure people like look at me and they're like she's just a fan artist like what is she's not like I'm not hired by anyone or anything. But I think that's also what's kind of scary because for all intents and purposes, I don't consider myself a professional artist. Like I have like a day job. Like this is really my hobby more than anything. I've never envisioned myself getting into the industry, getting hired by like obviously like before I used to dream of being hired by like Nickelodeon or like one of the big two comic wise. But as I got older, I think as I got older, I started like kind of accepting that art was more of a hobby for me. And once I started accepting that, that's when my art started gaining traction because it started to become more like self indulgent.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, I'm gaining traction for something that used to like that initially was just a hobby. So I'm like, I just got I want to keep this as a hobby, but now I feel like I have like a strange obligation to want to keep pleasing the people who have been so kind to support me and share my work. So now I'm like in like a weird limbo where I'm like, it's not my job, but I feel like I have to do it sometimes.
There's always that pressure, especially with social media, where
Mm-hmm.
uh, how should I put this? There's always the pressure of everything being let me slow down a bit. There's an obligation because like this is
Mm-hmm.
a very complex sort of thought. Because like I've
Mm-hmm.
been there, I've been where you are at right now, where it's just,
Mm-hmm.
oh hey, I made something, people liked it, and now they're following me, and people are like expecting this sort of thing from me because I keep making this type of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's tough to break from that.
Yeah.
But
Once you start at like either purposely or inadvertently you start putting yourself in a niche.
yeah, and it's tough to break out of niches. That's something that I've noticed personally too, as I've been like drawing more and more and posting
Mm-hmm.
stuff, because I'm not just one thing. I do my comic. I do my own like fan art or my own personal pieces that I put
Mm-hmm.
online, and it's tough to like nestle into a niche. And then like once people start expecting something out of you, then you start doing something else, and then they're like
Uh-huh.
taken for a loop. And like sometimes you put yourself in the position of an audience member or somebody that's
Yeah.
like looking at you from the outside,
Yeah.
and they're looking at you for one thing. I know a lot of people are like watching me for like my webcomic tutorials that are going to come out soon. And
And I'm one of them.
yeah, but then they also like see me post the most just insane stuff online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It's
sometimes I feel bad, but then I've gotten to the point right now where I just don't care anymore.
mm-hmm. I think I've basically reached that point too. Not so much in the sense that I don't care, but I think more so because like obviously again I was really prolific with my art last year. Like I was kind of like a machine. Like when I like look back at my 2022 art folder on Procreate, like it is actually kind of crazy how much work I was putting out at the time. And again, like I love doing all of it. Like a lot of it was self-indulgent like my college Simpsons AU, like the MTV style one. Like that's like something that I hold very near and dear to me and something that I do want to revisit because I have a lot of like drafts and stuff that I do want to share. One of them is finally drawing Millhouse with his band. Um but now like this year I feel like I've gotten a little more into like not so much niche things, but things that people have not followed me for like at all. Like people know me for like the art that I make for the fan art that I make for like cartoons, predominantly like Western animation, and now I'm drawing like Beatles fan art and
Yeah,
like
yeah. You're in your
Dave.
Beatles phase right now.
I'm in more like my like British rock phase because I've also been drawing a lot of Blur. So I'm basically in like a weird like oh also like I've also been drawing like Succession, basically more like live action, like the complete opposite of Western animation, which I think it's like honestly been like kind of challenging because this is quite outside my wheelhouse, but at the same time, like I like the challenge because it makes me feel like I'm new at something again, and I don't feel pressured to be good at it because I'm new at it. So it's very fun.
There's also your OC content that you've been pumping out more lately.
Yes. Oh yeah, that too. That was honestly like once I started really gaining traction with my art, that was like low key my ultimate goal in the back of my head where I'm like, I need to amass enough people so that when I start posting only OC art, not all of them will leave. Some of them will stay. And yeah, but I love my OC stuff. And it kind of like it's symbiotic with my like classic rock slash Britpop phase because my OCs are very heavily inspired by like classic rock and stuff. So that's really fun. Um, yeah, like basically just kind of going back into drawing less fandomy things, more just so stuff that I'm like the only person who's probably gonna see this art, most of this art is like me, and that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Sometimes it's nice to just draw for yourself, or I mean, I do that a lot too with my own characters because I have characters that are gonna come up in my comic later on, but I have a lot of just demo pieces that I make for myself that
Mm-hmm.
I don't put online or I don't share with other people, not even my
Yeah.
Patreons. Because like I need that to like be for myself to figure out my own characters, and I don't want to like put everyone through that process.
Exactly. I think as artists with platforms, it's or like just any artist in general, like because I feel like nowadays it's so normalized to if you're an artist to post your work online because that's just what you see online. So like you see enough people posting their art. You're like, well, clearly I have to do it too. And then, it just feeds into this like it just feeds into this whole like you have to share everything
Oh
online.
yeah, it's the
It's so
struggle to stay relevant, or like to keep showing like bits and pieces of yourself, not necessarily
exactly.
yourself, but like your art and your progress.
Exactly. Yeah, like I feel like especially when you're an artist. Oh my god, and this is also a reason why like I stopped really using TikTok so much cuz it was fun, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed making the TikToks that I made, but the production like the effort that goes into making a TikTok of you like setting up your phone. At least this is how I did it, and I know this is how many artists also do it. Like setting up your phone to angle it at the right like so you can film yourself drawing, and you have to make sure that the part that you're drawing is also aesthetically appealing. And I'm just like, this is too much. Like this is video production, this is editing, this is like song selection. Like I'm not any of those things. I'm just an artist.
Yeah,
I
I
just do one thing.
I cannot go on TikTok because I know for a fact I would be spending way too much effort making a single TikTok because I'd be animating everything, honestly.
Oh man, animation TikTok would eat you up. It'd be crazy. But
It's but that's a lot of work, and like to do that consistently to stay on TikTok, because TikTok, like
yeah,
you need to be pumping stuff out on that platform,
yeah,
and
yeah, no,
I don't have the energy for that. Instagram is the same way. You need to be consistently posting on Instagram to like grow on there.
yeah. It sucks because, like, like Instagram, like obviously, like my platform of choice, for better or for worse, is Twitter. Though nowadays, I'm like, I really should start like putting my eggs in a different basket. I don't know how long Twitter's gonna be around for. It's
Uh,
looking
and,
It's like I'm sure it'll be around, but I don't know. Like I feel like I'm gonna start getting annoyed using it pretty soon.
who I mean, I we spoke about this earlier before the show started,
Mhm.
but I do run a plugin What's
Oh
my
yeah,
plugin
yeah,
called?
yeah. The plug, yeah.
Control
The
panel for Twitter. That's what it's called for anybody listening
yeah.
right now. And
That's what it's called.
it lets me turn off views. It lets me turn off quote retweets, and it separates the tabs for me because I have a tab that's just like whoever I'm following,
Mhm.
and just it's purely their art or posts. And then I have
Mhm.
another tab that's shared tweets. So if anyone retweets something, I can see it purely on that tab. So I don't need to look at like
Uh,
people's retweets on my
they
like.
should really make that. They should really start doing that for like the app because like I told you earlier, like I'm on my phone 25/7. Like I rarely use desktop Twitter. It's it's rough out here for us iOS users.
I mean, even on Android, like Twitter is just like the app, and you don't have a lot of customizability with it.
Mhm.
I do not like using Twitter on my phone. As soon as the changes happened lately on
Mhm.
Twitter, I just quit using it on my phone. I usually post like whatever, like I like selfies or whatever via
Mhm.
my phone or whatever I'm listening to of the day,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then I just don't look at Twitter on my phone anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, is they're not gonna change it. They're not gonna like do the quality of life stuff that like control panel for Twitter does. Again, for anybody
Yeah.
listening, control panel for Twitter. If you're on desktop, that is my preferred way. You can have, you can also turn off like verified like Twitter accounts if you want to, or
You're a verified Twitter account.
not for long. I don't think so. I think they're gonna be getting rid of that for me.
That's so dumb. Like that's so I am still completely lost on how they did the whole like Twitter verification thing. I'm still so confused. Like I saw that you got it and I was like, "Oh, interesting. Does that mean I should get it?" And then everyone started losing their checks and I'm like, "Never mind.
Yeah,
Nothing matters.
yeah,
This is
no,
fake."
yeah. Like I'm gonna be like losing my check soon. I know that for a fact. But
Damn, that's rough.
but nah, I don't really care.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it's Twitter. Twitter's fake.
yeah. I mean, it's fake, but it's also how I net like a bunch of my like external income that's not job related.
That is also true. Twitter is not fake. It is actually an extremely useful tool. Actually, now that I think about it, I feel like I got um oh my god, this just made me realize I really should start posting stuff on Instagram more because I think cuz like I get like offers sometimes in terms of like paid gigs or like doing a thing, like drawing a thing for a person, and I usually get it from Instagram.
Oh, that's
So I'm
interesting.
like,
All right.
I feel like for Twitter, it helps to get noticed by people in the industry directly. Like last year, I was going in on making sure that at Simpsons Twitter checkmark would notice my stuff, and they did. They did notice my Rivers Cuomo Millhouse Midwest house. They approved of him,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's it. That's all I need.
I
I
I,
need nothing more from you."
I know they like continue like they look at your tweets like occasionally and they either
Yeah,
like or comment.
they liked my I like made a post on Valentine's Day of like all of my Bart and Jessica art, and I'm like, "Happy Valentine's Day from the worst relationship that Bart had." So, and they liked it, and I was like, "Yay! Jessica Lovejoy confirmed for season 35. You can thank me later." But and I think they followed me back from that too. And I was like, "God damn, you followed me when I'm taking a break from drawing in general, but that's okay. You
That
can stay as long as you want."
that's me and Let It Die Twitter, like the official Let It Die Twitter account, because like they will sometimes like really random tweets of mine that aren't even directed to like them or Let It Die.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, why are you guys liking my account? Like maybe someone in the like actual who runs the Twitter account is like a fan of mine for some reason
Mhm.
or another. And
Oh my god.
I'm just like, man, I would love to work for you guys as an official artist. Please let me work for you. I want to do stuff for Let It Die.
That's literally that, anytime anyone in the industry who works in a thing that I am obsessed with, predominantly for me it is like The Simpsons, because like I have not to flex, but I have like a couple people from like the Simpsons team like following me. And I forget that they follow me until they like some inane shit that I tweeted, and I feel like naked and like caught off guard. I'm like, no, don't
Oh,
like my tweet about Succession.
yeah,
Look at my art.
that's me and what was his name? He did a lot of stuff for My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Rob Renzetti,
Yeah. He
did
follows
he
me.
make it?
Yeah, no. And he follows
That's
me.
that's
And I'm just
such
like,
a slay.
why are you following me? I think because like he started getting on Twitter
Yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Mhm. I
No,
think the big
John
what?
Fountain. It was John Fountain. Was done work.
Oh, I love John Fountain.
Yeah.
I love like looking at his Twitter. I think he follows me too. I think the biggest like art like person who follows me back flex I can like feasibly think of off the top of my head. And I remember because when it happened, I was at work and I almost like shit myself at work because I was like, there's no fucking way. But Shane Glines, who's worked on like a lot of like he worked alongside like, oh my god, what's his fucking name? Whatever. The guy who did the designs for Batman the Animated Series, he was like working like
Bruce
kind
Timm
of
now.
like, yeah. Um he like worked alongside Bruce Timm, and then he started doing other like DC related work. He did I don't remember what it's called. He did one of the more recent like Justice League like cartoon iterations, but basically he is one of my biggest art inspirations, especially when it comes to like very cartoony pinups. I have so much of his like Zatanna art saved, and like his Black Canary, and he followed me back over OC art, and I was like,
There it
oh
is.
my god,
you know,
he's seen my OCs.
that's
And I
really
remember
cool.
I remember sending him a DM, and then he never replied, and then I think his account got like deleted, and I was like, what just happened?
Well, that was a fleeting moment. Come and
Where did
gone.
he go? It was like I ran into Santa Claus in my house, and then he was like, shh, and then he left, and I was like, oh, was this a dream? But
I'm-
yeah, I think that's like the coolest thing that's ever happened to me
I'm
on
s-
Twitter.
I'm still trying to get like. I mean, I have a lot of industry people just like checking me out and following me. A lot of directors on like a lot of stuff that I really like.
Cool.
And but like the one thing I want is just I want to work on Jet Set Radio stuff so bad.
Oh my god, you're friggin' I Oh, I know that. Oh, wait a minute. I feel like am I allowed to ask questions cuz you're the one interviewing me?
Oh, feel free. No, this is like it's. I mean, I have questions I do want to ask you later on, but like this is like an impromptu like talk show, honestly.
Woohoo.
So feel free.
Okay. So, what what was the aftermath for you for your little Jet Set Radio like April Fool's stunt? Cuz I saw a lot of people on my Twitter feed that were mad.
There are people that were mad. There are people that were just very sad that they wish it was real.
Mhm.
A lot of people thought it was real, and I was like, "Wow, okay, that
I-
makes
It
me
looked
feel better."
legit. Yeah.
No, but what I want to do with that is just, I know Sega does reward fans
Ooh.
who post things consistently, because there's another person I want to have on the show eventually in the future, Keith Stack.
Mhm.
I've worked with him. He's like a director that I worked under for Augenblick Studios in Brooklyn. But like, you know the Leslie and Brienne like comic on Twitter?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, no, he made those. But also before that, he was doing like a year of like a Sonic art. Every day he was doing like a different Sonic piece to like.
Oh, that's
what was
that's
it for?
actually
In
fucking
preparation
cool.
for the launch of the first movie.
Mhm. Oh
And-
wow.
And he was just drawing a new Sonic piece every day. And Sega noticed that, and then he got to do official Monkey Ball comics for Sega.
What?
Yeah, on the official Monkey Ball like Twitter account.
Dude,
and-
that's like that's so fucking sick.
And like but he also has the ability because like he can draw like a new piece every day, and like
That's fucking crazy.
he has that like just, and he was doing it on MS Paint too, so he was not like overthinking the pieces or anything like that.
Did he keep the toolbar in his pictures when he would post them?
No, but like I know he does everything on like MS Paint. Like he's been doing the Leslie Ann Briand comics on MS Paint.
That's sick.
Everything on one layer. He doesn't work on multiple layers for that because he just wanted to do like an experimentation with like fast and loose like uploads and pictures and everything. And I'll ask him more about this whenever he comes on the show. But I know for a fact Sega took an interest in that. And they're like, hey, you want to do something for us? And I'm just like, okay, this is the plan. This is what I need to do. I need to just be a Jet Set Radio like fan artist, or I need to make a piece every day.
I mean, yo, you saw it work for him. You saw it work for other people. Like, it fucking worked for fucking Spike. He got a couch gag out of his art.
Oh yeah, Spike Monster, for anybody listening, Spiker Monster.
Spiker Monster, the Simpsons fan artist of all time. I think he's listening.
Yeah,
but...
I need to give a shout out to Spike proper, cause his Simpson stuff is just absolutely killer. His fandom stuff in general is also really good too. He's a very phenomenal and technical artist. I'm like, if you're on YouTube right now watching this later, that's not live. I'm posting some of his work on the screen right now.
No, it's actually like, because I know that we were supposed to like wait until later for fandom stuff, but this actually works out bringing up Spike, because Spike is the reason why I got into The Simpsons, and subsequently part of the inspiration as to why I got into Hey Arnold, even though I think I finished watching all of the show before him. But honestly, if we're gonna talk in terms of like when my art career, quote unquote, started really kind of exponentially, like really started going upwards like exponentially, as I think when I started drawing Simpsons art. Because one thing about me, if I get a hyperfixation, I hyperfixate. Like, it was crazy. And then especially because I ended up focusing on like side characters more so than like Homer, Marge, the Bart, and well, I guess I drew a lot of Bart and Lisa, but not because of Bart and Lisa, but because of the side characters that I like to like link them with.
Right.
Like for Bart, it's like Jessica Lovejoy, and for Lisa, it's like Nelson or Milhouse now. Unfortunately, my own college AU of The Simpsons has made me a Lisa House shipper in denial. Sorry, Lisa. No, wait. But like in the sense of like 500 Days of Summer, where I want to watch them date, but I want to watch it fall apart in real time. Damn. I need to see it.
I'm sorry, Lisa, then. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lisa, but I have to watch you suffer.
But yeah, just to give a quick shout out for Spike. Please check out the comic Spring Kids, like Those Springfield Kids is the name of the comic.
Yay!
And you can find it at https://springkids.the-comic.org. If you guys want to. Yeah, that's
it's on like Smack Jeeves, isn't it?
It should be on. I mean, like, I'm not too
sure. He also posted it on Twitter. So if anyone follows Spiker Monster on Twitter, go look at his bio.
Yeah.
It's in there.
It should be there. But if you want the actual comic by itself, it has a nice like webcomic scroll through and move alongside. I've been showing it on screen for anybody watching on YouTube.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. And he got a couch gag out of it. I had a whole little like watch party for it last year, and I got so drunk I passed out by the end of the episode.
That's too
But you know what? I was like I watched the episode, but I think I just got too excited after the couch gag that I just could not stop drinking champagne, and the next thing I knew I was asleep.
No, that's fair.
But now I'm like, see, like the whole moral of it is if you share enough of the work that you love, sometimes you can work on the thing that you love. And that's pretty fucking sick.
I need to put an asterisk. This is not something that happens very often.
It's not. It's very rare.
And it's also a gargantuan amount of work that you need to like do if you're thinking about doing that.
Yeah,
I think it's not a guarantee.
I think Spike was like drawing like he was drawing like a ton of Simpsons art for like years. I think since like 2019, 2018, and that couch gag came out last year. But that's still a pretty short amount of time for some people. But I will say, for any Simpsons fans that are listening, I'm not saying this as like a if you draw a lot of fan art, then you'll get a couch gag, because clearly that's not the case. But I know that the Simpsons team this year is really focusing a lot on giving back to their fans, like doing stuff that involves their fans, engaging with their fans. That's why they did a fan art contest last year for their Treehouse of Horror special that was like a Krusty the Clown like parody of It. So they did like a fan art contest so they could show the art at the end of the episode. So I know that they're like really, and like they talked about, I think it was on GQ, where it was like the two showrunners like Al Jean and Matt Selman. They were like talking about like the coolest things that have happened in Simpsons history, and they talked about Spike's couch gag, where it's like, this is really cool. Like we can really start involving fans in this sort of like, in this like basically like pop cultural icon that's been around for so long. It's basically like a staple of American entertainment, and it does have a fan base. So I think that's pretty cool. I just like when things acknowledge their fans and give back to them in some way, or like invite them on in some way. I just think that's really sweet, and I think all things should do that all the time, forever.
Yeah, I mean, if you put in the work as a fan, I think like you kind of deserve a little bit of that love to come back from either the community or the actual property you're a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
But
especially if it's like something like The Simpsons, because it has been around for so long. I just feel like it only makes sense to start giving back to the people who are still watching the show.
all right, Futurama fan artists, when are you guys gonna like get back
God, I need to start actually watching Futurama from the beginning.
Futurama is a phenomenal show. It's one of my favorites of like American.
Philip J. Fry, my BF. I love you. I love him. He's so cute. He's so boy.
He's one of the like himbo patient zero characters.
Yeah, it's like he's a himbo, but he's like not a himbo. Because when I think himbo, I think like a big dude.
Oh, you're thinking like the buff guys. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but like Fry is like a himbo in a sense that Scout from Team Fortress 2 is a himbo, where they're just so dumb, but they're so charming and so boyish. I think that's like the best word to describe. They're boyish, and it's cute.
That's very fun, yeah.
I just think that's so fun, and like I don't know. I feel like after having like a big Simpsons moment that's still ongoing for all intents and purposes, I feel like the only natural progression is to then get into Futurama, and then maybe if I'm feeling a little spicy, getting into Disenchantment. But I don't know a lot about that, and I'm not a big fantasy person, so we'll see.
I mean, fantasy is a good niche to jump into. Specifically, okay, here's the thing. I really like a lot of different artists, and I specifically love the medieval. Have you seen medieval artists on Twitter? Like history artists that draw like outfits from different cultures.
Yes, I follow. I don't remember their name, but I follow one artist that is a very. I don't know. I just follow a bunch of artists who do draw a lot of like medieval or like just basically like ancient, not ancient, but like ye old civilization like armor and like designs and stuff, and it's really fucking sick.
Were you perhaps thinking about Magna Galena?
Yes, yes. Oh my
Yes.
god.
She's one of my favorites. She's also the spouse of Hiro Tonfa, who is another one of my like favorite artists. He did a cover for my comic
Really?
as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
The art's so small. That's
yeah,
so
no,
cool.
and they're both like two of my favorite history buffs. I love talking like every now and then I just like talk history with them, and it's very fun. And we just like to shitpost about like history, especially in Europe, especially around like I should post about Balkan history all the time. They're more Central Europe or Roman era.
That's so cool. Like no, I'm not gonna no. But I love artists who also who like get a lot of inspiration from specifically history. I don't know. I just think it's such a cool niche. Even if it's something like oh they did like even those people who are like oh they just draw a lot of like Leyendecker-esque like pieces and stuff, but it's
Mm-hmm.
set in that early 20th century like style. It's just so cool because I'm like there's just so many cool elaborate outfits from the time and just different cultural norms. Like I don't know. I just like it. Also, just like I like learning about different cultures through people who happen to draw for it. Like I didn't know a lot of stuff about like I guess Italian medieval times until Magna. I started
Really?
following
Okay.
Magna.
Interesting. I've
I
been
don't know.
I've been
I
a
just
huge
like it's
history
one of
buff.
those things that like yeah. I feel
So
like my niche is more in like it's more like mid-century. Like my history buffness is strictly from the 50s onward, which is not that long ago, but I promise you I could talk a lot about the 60s.
even geopolitics in the 60s. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into that right now.
Maybe not
That's
geopolitics, but I can definitely talk about JFK.
yeah. Okay,
And
we're
not
not gonna.
because of Clone High.
Yeah. Oh, Clone High is a good one too. We can like. That's a good fandom to like potentially get into if anyone's into like fandom like content. Cause
Especially because it's like
yeah,
it
continue.
like Clone High is like new season is coming out now. I have opinions about it, but that's okay because I am a Clone High shill, and I will suggest it to anyone and everyone who loves like UPA style like cartoons from the early 2000s and like late 90s first of all because I love that angular thick lined like flat style. It just looks so good.
Yeah, very
And also people who are
90s
like,
Cartoon Network esque. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so good. Have you heard that like I don't know if it's a theory or if it's like proven, but like have you heard that like Clone High was basically like the ground zero for what the total drama art style was going to be?
I can maybe see some inspiration. It's
Like definitely with like Cleopatra and like Joan of Arc.
I can see Cleo.
Yeah.
Because I can see a lot of the chicks in Total Drama Island taking that inspiration from her, and maybe from Genghis Khan in Clone High, in terms of that like
Yeah.
rectangular blocky. Yeah, I can see it.
I think it's just the general like UPA style like as like a whole that like comes back to those specific shapes. I just thought it was really interesting because I was deep in like my total drama like fandom moment. Like I was drawing like a ton of Chris McClane, um, racking up the followers because people were just like draw Chris McClane, and I was like
Everyone's
okay,
thirsty
and they
for
were like
Chris.
dance monkey dance, and I was dancing for them. But
Okay, campers.
okay, campers. Oh my gosh, it's it's crazy. But basically, I was like drawing a ton of total drama like 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago because it was 2020. And then I just happened to get into Clone High. And then I was like, oh, cool. There's like low key kind of a connection between Clone High and Total Drama. I don't know if it's like proven, but I can see the visual similarities. And then after I finished watching all of Clone High, suddenly Clone High became a meme because everyone was posting about JFK. And I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, no,
Like-
this happened during the very beginning of the pandemic because like my roommates started getting into Clone High for some reason.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and they were just like in love with Clone High, and I'm like, oh, cool. I love Clone High too. I've seen it since like a long time ago. Why is everybody into it now? I'm happy about it though. And then I hear some people like, oh, it didn't age that well, and I'm just like, I mean, it was of the era.
Clearly. That's another thing too. I don't want to. I'm not going to spoil anything from the new season
Yeah.
because, first of all, everything I've seen has only been from a leak.
Okay.
So, no, don't seek it out. That's naughty. But okay, so there's like a ton of like the resurgence of Clone High in like 2020 was quite crazy to me because, first of all, I didn't expect it. Because I had just finished watching Clone High, and then it became a meme, and now, and I just remember, it was such a dumb thought, but I just remember back then being like, no, everyone's gonna think I watched Clone High because everyone else was watching Clone High. I just finished it. I swear.
It's the collective algorithm getting everybody into the same thing. That's what's happening. That's
Exactly. I was like, I got algorithm pilled. They got me. But I just remember, like, obviously there's like a ton of new fans getting into Clone High, a lot of younger ones. And then I saw some people like reacting to the leak, and I don't know, like it's one of those things where I'm like, it's very interesting to reboot this specific show 20 years later because
following the same cast too.
Yeah, because the humor from 20 years ago in terms of young adult like comedies to now is so crazy. The
In
first
terms of what
episode
MTV was,
exactly
because that doesn't exist anymore. That era of like,
Exactly.
remember when MTV had the fucking Yo Mama show?
Oh God, remember when MTV had shows that weren't ridiculousness?
Yeah, well, it was always insane, to be honest.
I remember watching this one show, and I swear it was on MTV, but I could be wrong. But like Silent Library was on MTV, right?
What is Silent Library?
It's basically like, it's gonna be so embarrassing if I'm wrong. I also watch like Jersey Shore on MTV and stuff, and like Teen Mom, but like that's irrelevant.
Yeah,
But
Silent Library was on MTV. You're right.
Yes, because it was like a bunch of like people sitting in a library, and the whole point of it is just like stupid shit happens to them, but they have to be quiet because they're in a library, and I'm like, this is such a dumb show.
Oh, that reminds me of a Japanese game show, the Batsu games from like way before, where they're not allowed to laugh. But like, it's a similar sort of concept.
Exactly. I feel like all those like dumb stunty prank shows on MTV are really just like the natural descendants of Jackass.
Yeah.
I think it just makes sense. I miss Jackass. I couldn't watch it. I was too squeamish. Every time Johnny Knoxville got hurt, I got sad.
Man, the things that man did to his body, and still does.
No, it's literally like, what was it? I was explaining this to, because like you said, like the new movie like came out, Jackass Forever. Like it came out like last year. Was it last year?
The nebulous pandemic time.
Exactly. Like I just remember I started like before Jackass Forever came out, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch all of the Jackass movies, even though every time I watched them when I was a kid/teenager, I would get really nauseous or really uncomfortable, but I'm gonna do it. And then I watched the first one and I almost got sick because I'm like, I hate toilet humor so much. And the first one is when they like shit in a toilet.
Yeah.
That's like a display toilet.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't do it. I love you, Johnny Knoxville, but I literally can't do it.
It's very much like boys from like the Attitude Era of wrestling. Period.
Exactly. Oh my God.
And what they find funny.
Attitude Era. That's like one of the few things I understand from like WWE, because my best One of my best friends is obsessed with Edge, but specifically from the Attitude Era.
That's very funny because like wrestling is like a huge part of my life. So
Hmm.
I still watch and I still keep up with like a bunch of different like wrestling promotions like
Hmm.
WWE, AEW, NJPW, Triple
Hmm.
Idols Wrestling. I still watch like it's literally like 30% of my life. Like actually
Wow.
30% of my life. But yeah, no. Attitude Era was such a very distinct period because it wasn't just WWE, it bled into literally everything at the time.
That's so true.
And
That's so true. Like, it's
music,
so crazy.
counterculture, skateboarding, uh
Oh my
extreme
god.
sports, like late 90s early 2000s was that period for that type of stuff to grow where you can do the most insane like stuff from that era. Like Jackass cannot exist in this day and age. It
That's
could,
so true. Jackass literally could not. But it does. It, like, and I think like that's why Jackass Forever was like I love it, but you know for a fact that a majority of the people who watch Jackass Forever are watching it for the nostalgia
yeah,
factor.
exactly. We're
Like
in attitude era nostalgia at the moment.
exactly. We are basically in late 90s, early 2000s nostalgia moment. And I am a full participant of it because like I said earlier, like I feel like I haven't been consuming like any new shows and or animation this like live action shows, yes. But a lot of the cartoons I've been watching in terms of like animation wise has been like older cartoons from like the 90s. Like was it last year I got really into and I still am like into MTV's Downtown. The best.
Oh wow,
The
okay. Yeah.
oh, I love that show. That show is the reason why I started drawing like in that MTV style for like Bart and Lisa and Millhouse. It's just so like it truly like and the way I like ran into it was so crazy because like I was just on once again I was just on TikTok like scrolling. I was like baked. It was like the middle of the night and I was just watching whatever. And then this clip from MTV Downtown was like just like showed up on my For You page and I was hypnotized. I was like this is the best. This is all of my aesthetic interests like wrapped up into one thing. Like 1999 was
New
it
York City.
Manhattan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Manhattan, yeah.
1999 Manhattan. Like the little like I don't know. It's not grunge. There was an article that was written about MTV's Downtown. I don't know if it was called grunge. It wasn't. It cannot have been because like 1999 grunge wasn't really. Was it really even a thing anymore? No.
It was on its
Oh,
way out, but I know what you're talking about. That like particular crusty aesthetic.
yeah, it was like crusty, young 20 somethings in like urban areas, basically.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, for
masterpiece.
anybody listening, Downtown is a show from like I think 1999, early 2000s.
1999, yes.
Yeah, about different like people like young adults within New York City, Manhattan, and their experiences within, and it has this very particular. Oh, how do you describe it?
The art style.
Yeah,
It was by the guy Chris Prionsky
yeah, it is Chris
who would go
Briansky.
on
Yeah,
to who would go on to make Titmouse.
yeah, and
Yay.
it has a lot of yeah because like the one guy I forgot Goat is a character there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah. He was what was it? He was in like other shows, right?
yeah, he's a recurring character in every single Chris Parnowski show. They pay huge homages to this guy, and
Cool.
Goat's like a legendary character. Chris Parnowski is also one of my favorite animators and creators of all time. So
He's just so good. Like, it's interesting sometimes when we talk about like and this is just talking artist to artist where we're talking about like our inspirations. But like sometimes I'll see the ways in which our art inspirations overlap. Like Chris Pronounsky is also well, at least his work in Titmouse, even though I didn't know him by name, but like Titmouse in general like was a huge inspiration for like the way that I would end up drawing. I'm just like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just neat. Because like I would say we both have pretty angular art styles.
Yeah.
Like when I think of your art, I think of angles, and I'm like, who else draws angles? Clearly, like you get like the Jamie Hewlett comparison a lot.
Yeah. I get Hewlett, but I also get Robert Valley a bunch too. I think
Yes.
I think between the Hewlett versus Valley inspirations, I lean more towards the Robert Valley end of the spectrum.
I would say I would agree with that because Hewlett love to death, obviously, but Hewlett does not play with perspective the same way Valley does. Like Valley really stretches it, you know?
Yeah. He pushes to extremes, and I feel like I can start pushing more towards those extremes myself. My Another person I've had on the show earlier, Fang Dangler. He's
Big
also,
love, big fan.
he's also heavily inspired by Robert Valley, and he's working on a project right now. Again, if anyone wants to follow it, follow Lamb of God Studio or Lamb Studio on Twitter, Lamb_studio, and you can find his new indie anime that he's producing called Cassandra Complex. And
Ooh. Oh, I do follow it on Twitter.
yeah,
I was like, this looks like Fang Dangler. Is
yeah,
it?
it is.
It is.
And I've been discussing this project with him for a long time, and I've been seeing him work on it. It is really cool, and
It's so sick.
I can't wait for him to finish this like short film of his and get everybody on it, because it's one of my favorite things of all time.
No, literally, it's so sick. And I love like just going back to like Robert Valley in general because I can wax poetic about this man forever. But just in general, like have you ever watched his short film like Pear Cider and Cigarettes?
Yes,
Ah, incredible.
it's the shot composition is just
Oh my lord. It is so amazing. I cannot even describe to you like when I first discovered Robert Valley as a teenager because I watched Motor City.
Yep.
Incredible cartoon. Everyone should watch Motor City.
Motor City is my favorite cartoon.
It's so beautiful.
It inspired me to start pursuing animation proper.
It's so good. Like it's beautiful. Like when people talk about underrated cartoons, like I feel like even Motor City gets overlooked in terms of underrated cartoons, and I'm like, no, it's gorgeous. But
there's one particular frame. I'm gonna send it to you right now via Discord, but like from Pear Cider, or like not from that, but like.
Oh my god. Literally, I'm not even joking you. This was my laptop wallpaper for the entirety of college.
I'm putting it up on screen right now for people on YouTube that are watching this.
I'm like, this was literally my laptop wallpaper. I think my laptop wallpaper right now is yes, it is still a Robert Valley, and I think it is from Pear Cider and Cigarettes. He's just so good. Like also like his work with DC with like the Wonder Woman shorts. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Yeah,
No,
they're gorgeous.
They're phenomenal. Also the stuff he did for Rock Band, Beatles.
The Beatles Rock Band. Oh my god. Okay. So yes, I can talk about the Beatles.
Okay,
but
yeah. We can now transition into this.
yay. So in November I watched the Beatles the Cirque du Soleil show at Vegas, and I was like, wow, this just reminded me how much I love the Beatles. And then I remembered Beatles Rock Band, which my friends did have in our college dorm senior year. And I never realized that Robert Valley was the one who did like the animations for it, like the intro and outro of like Beatles Rock Band. And after I watched that, I was like, yo, this has to be a sign. I feel a phase coming on, and now we're here. Like, what was it? Like 5 months later.
Yeah, you've been really into the Beatles lately.
I've been Beatles pilled.
Yeah.
I was so Beatles pilled, I spent my birthday in Liverpool.
Yeah, when did you book that ticket to like get there?
When did I book it?
Yeah.
I think in February. And I went in March. So like because I'd always wanted to go to London. I spent a week in London in sometime in March, and it was quite crazy and it was very fun. But on my specific birthday, we took a train up to Liverpool, and it was so cool. I love it. It's a beautiful city. It was really cold and windy when we were there, and it was even colder and windier because the Beatles bronze statue is right by the water. So I was like,
Yeah.
help.
What was it rainy during the time?
It
that you
wasn't
went?
rainy.
Okay.
I will say though, the luck I had being in London, like I don't think it rained a lot for any of like it drizzled, but it was never like rain. Like it was really nice. But
You got to
yeah,
see the sky at the very least. Like,
I did get to see the sky. I
Okay.
got to see the blue sky. It was great. Not on the day I went to Liverpool. It was cloudy as fuck, but like it's
Yeah.
okay.
Typical London behavior.
Yeah, but it was awesome. I did my little Beatles pilgrimage, and then I got to the last 2 nights I was in London, I got to go clubbing in Camden, which was pretty cool. I think one of the bars I visited was like the bar where like the Blur and Oasis feud started.
Holy shit. Okay.
No. I think it was cuz what is it? Like he's like I and correct me if I like I'll look this up later to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty sure one of the bars I went to in Camden was the bar that Oasis had like an after party at after they won a bunch of like awards at the NMEs. Um and like Blur was there and Damon like congratulated Liam and was like, "Hey man, like good job, like great job, like you won." And then Liam Gallagher like gets up in Damon's face and is like, "Number fucking one." And then that's what started the whole feud, which is so stupid. I hate the Gallaghers are scary and I'm scared of them. But yeah. Basically I'm in like a whole British rock phase right now because of that.
Yeah, you've been drawing Damon also.
He just looks like someone's OC. Like him in the 90s looks like an OC someone would make. He's got sleepy eyes and like a pointy nose and blonde hair that's messy. And he plays guitar. That's someone's OC. And now he's, like I just feel like character design wise they really popped off with him.
God really nailed it with this one.
God really nailed it with this design.
No, but that's funny. You got the whole, and you stayed there for a week. You said, right?
I did. I stayed there for longer because my flight got delayed like a whole day. But it's okay. I had a good time.
So
Yeah.
something I wanted to ask is just like,
Mhm.
whatever you're interested in tends to inspire your art. You said earlier, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Would you say that's your main priority, or not priority, but you tend to have your muses, or whatever you're
Mhm.
interested acts as your muse to draw an inspiration. Do you ever struggle drawing outside of that, like working outside of your inspirations?
Oh, all the time. I think that's one of the most difficult things that I've had to struggle with as an artist is I am inherently an artist who wants to draw for herself. Like maybe it's the ADHD, maybe it's something else, but it is like pulling teeth to get me to draw something that I am not in the mood or inspired to draw. Like if I am in a phase where I really just want to draw, like for example, like The Simpsons, that's all I'm gonna draw. And you're not gonna see me draw anything else until something else happens to catch my eye. Right now, it's like for me right now, it's like the bands that I like. So like I said, like Damon Albarn and Blur, or like the Beatles, or even like Fleetwood Mac, or like some stuff like that. Like the bands, like those are the things that are consuming my brain right now. So those are the only things that I feel compelled to draw. Like, even though I love The Simpsons with all my heart and soul, I'm not fixated on them right now. So it's really hard for me to want to draw them.
Got you.
Because it's like, and like, I think that's a reason why like I could never pursue art professionally, or at least like be in the industry to join a team to work on some sort of like
Long-term
show.
project, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of professional art is, and this is what I've heard from people in the industry and just what I've observed. A lot of working in the industry as a professional artist is learning how to suck up when you don't want to draw something because you have to draw it, and that's really hard for me. Like at my core, I'm a hobbyist, and I really love drawing things when I feel like it. I just happen to be lucky to make things that other people happen to resonate with or happen to want to share. But right now, as I'm like transitioning between muses, because like I said, like drawing real people, drawing like live TV shows, it's a little new for me because I'm one of those people that like in high school I was too big for their britches, and I was like, I don't need to learn the fundamentals of art. I know how to draw anime. So
Got you. All right.
like I have to relearn my own fundamentals like as I'm exploring things like, oh, I want to draw like this scene from this like music video, or like etc etc. So I'm in like my own little learning process, and that's the only thing that I want to draw right now. So like even if I do have ideas for like, say for example, like Midwest College Millhouse, which I do have like a sketch, I have a draft, and like I have like a whole I basically have a whole like little mini comic like already basically like ready to get inked and colored and ready to go, but I can't bring myself to do it because I'm like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, you're
So
not in the mood for it. So you're very mood oriented when
yeah,
you're drawing. Got you.
yeah, I'm very victim to my own whims. I can't control what I am and am not inspired by.
In a similar way, I'm not that hard pressed to like be in a particular mood to draw something, but I always need to like figure out a way to have fun with whatever I'm working on. Because if I'm not enjoying what I'm working on, I tend to struggle with it.
Yeah,
And
no, that makes a ton of sense.
Even my more moody pieces, there's always an element of it that like I enjoy like figuring out and doing. I always make art to enjoy doing the art, never to force myself. Like I cannot I cannot make myself draw not safe for work. Because it's not what I'm interested in. It's not something that like I want to do, or like I can figure out a particular way to like have fun. Or if I start to think about something like, oh, this is gonna do numbers, or I'm thinking about it to do numbers.
Yeah,
Instead of having
that's when you're
fun.
like, you gotta like take a step, because I totally get like once you start like thinking in terms of, oh, this will pop off, you have to like step back and be like, wait, am I only drawing this because I think it's gonna pop off?
It's funny because sometimes the things that wind up popping off are not the things that I expect people to enjoy.
Exactly. No, that's exactly like, that's literally, I feel like that's a universal like artist experience where you draw some dumb shit and you're like, whatever, and then it ends up popping off, but then the shit you actually spend like a ton of time on like gets like like little to no traction, and you're like, what even? What?
No, for me, like the hyper specific thing that I drew recently was the Miku and
I was gonna say the Miku and Moonbase Alpha one, right?
Yeah. That one in particular, I was just like, this is very much just for me. Because I was listening to a lot of Moonbase Alpha like covers, and I was feeling very emotional, and I'm just like, okay, how do I like convey this sort of like, forlorn sadness that these like this little robot man sings in. And I'm just
It's
like, oh,
so
he's pretty much a
good.
Vocaloid. He's like an American Vocaloid. He's Stephen
just
Hawking's soundbox, like, actually.
He literally is. What is it? I fucking remember. What was it? I think it was my friend Kia. And she just replied to your Miku art with John Madden.
Yeah, yeah, no, I saw that very recently. Yeah, it's
John
so
Madden,
it
John Madden.
it's so funny. Yeah, no, she like literally just like back in like March. Yeah, John Madden
It's it's
with
so
the
good.
sad emoji, like the pensive face emoji. Yeah,
It's so good. It's so crazy because I knew about like Moonbase Alpha, and you were like sending me like the pics as you were working on it, but it like never occurred to me that it is in the most rudimentary sense a Vocaloid.
yeah,
If you're gonna call any vocal synth a Vocaloid.
yeah, pretty much. And that's what like I was like, yeah, let me just draw this thing because like I'm feeling it. I'm in my feelings when I was drawing it.
I mean, it came out really good. I think also, and this is something I have learned from Spiker, um, people can tell when you're in your feelings when you draw something. Like, even if it's like subconsciously, like you can tell if something was made with feeling, you know? And you, at least like I feel like I can like tell for the most part. And I feel like those pieces that are made with genuine sincerity, like with full on feeling, those are the ones that happen to resonate with people a lot. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why your Miku art popped off,
Okay.
because there's a lot of feeling.
That's fair enough. Because I do feel very similarly to that sentiment where I tend to prefer art that I can just get the vibe. Like, there's like this honest, genuine feeling that goes into the art piece. And it's very
Yeah.
hard to like ignore it. And I just really appreciate that. I feel like you peek a little bit at like the person's character when you see that type of drawing and art.
Yeah. I feel like I don't. I think with my actually this is actually something really interesting to like observe because I feel like with my art I don't really get very emotional like emotion I like don't really dig into emotions when it comes to drawing my stuff. I don't know. It's weird. Like I've done it a couple times where I'll like draw something that is inherently just very like personal because it's based on things that I'm feeling like at the moment. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff I draw is like self-indulgent, distracting whimsies. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Which is very like weird because like I feel like and like, you know, there's no right way or wrong way to make art, but I feel like there's people who make art like from their feelings, you know? Like they really dig into the depths of their like emotions and you can feel it in their work. And I realize I don't really do a lot of that cuz a lot of the stuff I do is more like it's less about emotions and it's more about indulgence, if that makes sense. Like I just draw stuff that I'm like, I want to see this and it's very silly and maybe it's a little niche and a little stupid, but I want to see it. It has nothing really to do with my feelings other than the feeling of wanting to see something silly. Or
Well,
like,
hmm.
yeah.
When I describe feelings, it's just like again for that Miku piece, the
Mhm.
Miku and Moonbase Alpha piece.
Mhm.
I wasn't really putting my own emotion into it. I was mostly just feeling the moment, like for the
Mhm.
characters, and like I feel like you do that. Like I think that's a similar sort of
Yeah.
like indulgence, like when you talk about indulgence. But I feel like
Yeah.
you're able to empathize with the characters more and like put yourself, well, not put yourself, but like explore their situation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's like I think that's basically like the overall conclusion I was getting into. And I think like looking back like now that I could look retrospectively, I'm like, wait, that's literally what I was doing every time I was drawing Millhouse.
Yeah, you're like putting yourself in Millhouse's shoes.
The worst shoes to be in. But like it's interesting. Like I just love like how do I say this? I just love like tortured souls and Millhouse is a very tortured individual. And I think it's from his own doing. So I think it's very interesting to like explore the things that make him tick. I
It's
guess it's like kind of like a character study.
it's funny because like the actual character in the show the kid. He's just caught in like the worst situations around because of the people around him.
Yeah, literally. I feel okay. So I will die on this hill that Milhouse would have a much better life and be a much better person if he cut Bart and Lisa off because they're so awful to him. They're literally the worst. And like Milhouse isn't like a Boy Scout either, but they're just so mean to him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this kid's a child of divorce, okay? He's hanging by a thread, and I can say this too. He's hanging by a thread. You be nice to him. Or else.
Well,
God knows what he's gonna do.
He doesn't have the luck there, but yeah.
And that's why in my, well, I don't know. It's kind of like a win-lose situation. Like on the plus side, in my college AU, like he can express himself through music. But on the downside, he is I don't know.
On the
He's
downside,
a
he is
musician.
expressing himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a musician.
He's Rivers
He's
Cuomo.
the front. Yeah, literally. He's reverse. He's Rivers Cuomo in his Pinkerton era. He's Pinkerton Rivers.
He's
which is the worst Rivers you can be.
He's Pinkerton Rivers without like the Pinkerton Rivers like reach.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like
weird.
he's just Pinkerton Rivers, and it's bad.
But yeah, before we go on too much into that, I want to actually start diving into the listener questions.
Oh, okay.
Because we got a bunch of people, and I don't want to like leave people hanging for too long.
Okay.
But we've got a hefty amount of questions this time around.
Yay!
The first one I'm going to pick off right now is Zyoluax at ZYOLLUAX on Twitter asks, any media you would recommend people to read / check out?
I feel like we kind of like talked about it already in the show, but like to make like a cohesive list, at least like in terms of like media that like I really am like into and like am inspired by as of right now. Downtown, MTV's Downtown, Clone High, like read Downtown and Clone High are like the first things that come to my mind because they have for better or worse had such a big influence on like the art I've created in recent memory. I guess like I think everyone should watch Bluey. I think if anyone wants to heal their inner child, they should watch Bluey. I don't care if it's a preschool show. You should watch it. And media, and I mean, right now I'm like watching Succession. Like, it's actually Succession Sunday right now, and the new episode dropped at 9:00, but I'm here. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm watching the new episode.
Alrighty.
But yeah, I would say like Downtown, Clone High, Succession. Oh, I also watched the special screening for Mission Hill, and I'm probably gonna watch the rest of the show.
Oh, Mission Hill is phenomenal, yeah.
It's so good. If you're really into colors and like slackadaisy 20-somethings in the early 2000s, watch Mission Hill. If you like the humor in early Simpsons, watch Mission Hill because it's showrun by the same people who worked on the early Simpsons seasons. But yeah, that's my suggestions.
Okay. So I'm going to keep it off of just your suggestions because like I would just go off for way too long on my own. But I do recommend a lot of what you've put up. Downtown and Mission Hill are two really phenomenal shows. They have a very similar vibe that I do recommend for people to check out. But yeah, hope that answers your question, Zyolux. Next up, Pastel Fire at Frailbulb on Twitter asks Preguntas, multiple questions. First one is, how's y'all's day going? So
good.
You've been having a good day? I've been busy today.
I had lunch with my grandpa, and that was very cute.
Oh, there it is. I literally went rock climbing and I just came home like 30 minutes before the show started to get everything set up.
Your Spidey training.
Yeah, my Spider-Man training. I'm Spidey maxing.
Yeah,
And
good days all around.
Pastel also asks, what is Meat Girl's favorite food and most disliked foods?
Well, my favorite food is probably steak, which probably
That tracks.
tracks.
Yeah.
And my least favorite food is not vegetables. I do eat my vegetables, regardless of what people think. But my least favorite food is anything with cinnamon in it, because I hate cinnamon
Oh,
to
okay.
death.
Any
So, yeah.
particular reason why cinnamon doesn't, like,
It just tastes like a candle to me. Like
interesting.
maybe I've just smelled too many candles that are cinnamon scented, but when I eat it, I just feel like I'm tasting a candle, and it's gross.
That's very funny. So how do you feel about the smell of cinnamon?
The smell of cinnamon is nice. I just don't want to taste it, you know? I feel
Gotcha.
like the smell of it is just like cinnamon is meant for one sense only. And for me, it's the sense of smell, not taste.
Got you. Next up on Pastel asks a huge line of questions. So, Meat Girl, what's your favorite
Yes.
film that comes to mind?
Faye film that comes to mind like right now immediately.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann,
Oh my
1996.
god. Yeah.
I love that movie. I have a tattoo of it.
The aquarium scene.
The aquarium scene that was so good that Pantene Stocking parodied it.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out about the movie. It's so good. It's so good. Also, just because I was one of those kids that took English class too seriously in high school. Like, I actually sometimes read the books. So, and Romeo and Juliet is one of the like plays that we read in school that I was very obsessed with. And also, like, it's just a good aesthetic. Yeah, it's a good aesthetic. It's a great movie. It's an awful movie, but it's really great, and I love it. So yeah, check it out.
Pastel also asks, been playing any games? And recently, yes, I have. But what about you?
Not really. I feel like the only game I'm like garbage at like playing games. The last game I was really like obsessed with is Stardew Valley, but the one game that I always go back, like if I ever want a game that I can just like sit, turn off my brain and just get into, it's Hotline Miami.
Oh, Hotline Miami is tons of fun.
So good. The second game is incredible. It's just very long compared to the first game, so I'll just play the first game. It's kind of like the game equivalent of like absent-mindedly like toying with a Rubik's cube, because I've played it so many times that it's literally just like muscle memory at this point.
I completely feel that. I love Hotline Miami for that reason. Actually.
It's so good.
And it's mostly the first one that I go back and revisit also, because the second one there's just too much going on. And
once you start playing as like other people who like have different abilities, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is too much. I just need to play as Jacket and I'm okay.
Yeah. But me, myself, I've been playing a lot of the Resident Evil 4 remake lately. And I've just been replaying that game consistently, and I love Leon Kennedy so much. He's so fucking stupid.
He's so baby girl.
But like, he's also extremely competent, is the thing. So he's very good at what he does.
Baby girls can be competent.
He's very good at what he does, but it's just like he makes the dumbest one-liners that make me very happy. There's a segment in the game where you fight like knights that are obsessed, like not obsessed, but that were possessed by parasites.
Mm-hmm.
And when you clear that like room of like the 6 knights that you fight, Leon goes nighty night nights at the very end of it, and it's so good. I do recommend, like, if you get the chance to play it, definitely go play it. It's a lot of fun.
I need to get into Resident Evil. Like, I have been slacking on it for so long. I also had no time to play games, but I know I should, okay? I know I should!
Okay, so the thing about the Resident Evil games is that they're relatively short games. You can clear them within, like, at a very casual pace, like, at most 20 hours for, like, one of them. At most. And because I've been replaying 4 consistently over the past like week. Like every time I finish work at the end of the day, and I can beat that game in like 3 hours.
Damn.
It's
Well,
it's a very easy game to like go back to and like revisit. But I think you would enjoy the Resident Evil canon and lore because
probably.
I'm specifically thinking about Resident Evil 7 and 8 and the main protagonist in that one, Ethan Winters, and I think you would appreciate him.
No, I have friends who are into Resident Evil, and they've told me, they're like, you know who you would like? I think you'd like Ethan. And I'm
Yeah.
like, interesting.
It's so funny that other people can like think about it and it tracks for you. Like again, when I think like characters that you would enjoy in Resident Evil, I think Ethan Winters.
I can't. I'm so readable when it comes to like fictional video game men that I would like.
Especially,
I like one type of man.
Especially this guy where you cannot even see his face.
Ah,
And everyone
love
just
it.
loves him. I don't know how you feel about like horror in general, but like it's
I love horror. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love horror. I love slashers. I love horror movies. But I'm also a big pussy. So it's really hard for me to play horror games. Because like when you're watching a movie, you're like, yeah, it's all happening. But like when you're like playing the game, you're like, if I get jump scared at any time, I'm going to shit myself. That's me playing Dead by Daylight like all the time.
And Dead by Daylight's pretty tame.
Dead by Daylight is so tame, but if you literally hear me playing it, like especially, I think the best example is anytime I'm going up and the killer is Michael Myers, like as soon as I hear the music like doo 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 doo, I'm like literally like screaming as I'm like closing my eyes and just like running to wherever and like hiding in a closet. But you know what? For Ethan Winters, I'll do it.
Resident Evil is just such a good series to get into because like sometimes the games start as they lean on in the horror element a lot, but they get very goofy very fast as the games go through.
I love Goofy. God damn it. God damn it.
I think it's a franchise that like if you ever get into, I think I can expect a lot of like, you know, very funny fanon.
Let it be known now that if I do have a Resident Evil phase sometime this year, this is the ground zero for it.
Okay.
This show right here.
Another question from Pastel is, what do you do when you have art block? And this is
like
very
right
interesting.
now.
Yeah.
When I have art block, I just kind of start experimenting with like art that I don't normally do. So like at the beginning, like towards like I think February, I did have like I was having really bad art block, so I started getting into lino cutting, which is pretty fun. Like I took my Beatles art and I converted it into stencils to make into lino cuts. And it was actually really cute. Like I have a couple of my own prints like hung up in my room. I was very proud of them. So and like now like I've mentioned like a couple times during the show, like I've been drawing a lot more like real life people, like live action TV or like bands or whatever, which is not something I normally do. So whenever I have art block, I kind of try to do something that is completely out of the usual wheelhouse that I normally do, which is like, for example, like Western animation or UPA style cartoons. Just so that I can like, you know, be like in new territory and be like, all right, I'm not expected to be good at this because I don't know fuck all about this. So I'm just going to have fun and I'm just going to kind of go into it. And then usually like, you know, like usually once I start learning to love the process, it helps me like learn to love making art again in general. So yeah, that's what I do.
In a way, I'm very similar when it comes to art block. When I'm struggling with illustration in particular, I move on to just experimenting with video editing or other things.
Yeah.
So I work in a new medium to just motivate myself a bit more. Sometimes I just need to have that play like ability or like the ability to play with my art instead of just treat it like work all the time. And
discovery
helps with art block, at least for me.
No, I hard agree. Like, just putting yourself in completely new territory just kind of forces you to take the art as it is and just be like, all right, I want to like get into the process. I want to like learn just how to do it, not worry about if what I'm making is good. But yeah, it's a very freeing experience having to learn something new.
The next question she asks is favorite show currently, and I think I already know the answer.
It's Succession.
Yeah.
It's good. Actually, I like it's so hard to suggest like having people watch Succession because on paper it's a very boring show. But if you like character studies, highly recommend.
And last question by Pastel is favorite activity to do when going out with friends or by yourself?
By myself, I like getting food or like watching a thing by myself. Like just recently, I just watched this documentary by a woman who was John Lennon's lover during a time when he was separated from Yoko Ono. I watched that by myself and it was very fascinating. It was very honestly like very like chill to just go to the movie theater by yourself. But when I'm with friends, I like going to places where we can like do a thing to get. I guess that's really vague, but I like do a thing to, like going to like an arcade or like a park or if there is something to go to like a show. Like I just recently
concerts
got
are fun, yeah.
yeah, like I recently got tickets like to the Garden. Like um
That's insane that they're
like
playing this close by. Yeah.
yeah, like I saw I think they're going to be playing like for sometime in May. But me and my friend Kia, we got tickets to the Garden. I love seeing also like shows by like smaller bands, like the band that you played at the beginning, Ordinary People. I saw them. I was lucky enough to see them live last Halloween, and they were incredible, and I enjoyed watching them. But yeah, so like by myself, I like watching things, and I guess in general, just like I like watching things either by myself or with people. So yeah.
And yeah, no, I mean, for me, my favorite thing to do with anybody is like karaoke most of the time.
Yeah, karaoke.
It's
We
the
need a Beatles themed karaoke night.
yeah. I'm trying to pitch it to like a few people actually, just to do a Beatles themed karaoke.
I pitched it to my friends and they were like, I don't know a lot of Beatles songs. And I was like, that's fucking fine, I
That's
guess.
a lie.
Just
Everybody
from the
knows.
60s.
Everyone
like-
knows like at least like 5 to 10
One.
Beatles songs.
I was gonna say one, but you're really generous. No, but like that's so true. I'm just like, what do you mean you don't know a lot of Beatles songs? You've never heard "Here Comes the Sun"?
Yeah.
Get out of here!
Or
Get outta
Strawberry
here.
Fields. These are like whatever.
Come on, they're
I
in
can-
the cultural zeitgeist.
I can understand people being like not too into the Beatles, but like you like even if you're not into
You've
the
heard a
Beatles,
song,
you've heard
exactly.
Beatles songs.
It's fine. We're gonna get our group of people who'll do our Beatles themed karaoke night.
All right.
We'll get there.
I hope that answers all your questions, Pastel.
Yay!
This isn't really a question, but on the the sunny side at Twitter asks,
Ah!
"Go Geary, go!"
I love hi Sunny. They're great. They have such a cute art style. Sunny, if you're here, you're awesome. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
Sunny.
Shout out to Sunny.
I'm gonna put them on the screen right now for anybody listening, but for everybody that's like just tuning in, search at the sunny side, no space, at Twitter, and you'll find her art all over the
Very
place.
bueno.
And let's see another question by Gio Ume Jr. on Twitter asks, what favorite art direction from canceled projects? Or like what's your favorite art direction from canceled projects? That's interesting.
Ooh, that is interesting. Canceled projects. Oh my god, now I have to dig through the canceled projects that I know about. I think the first one that comes up is this movie. that was called, I think, Me and My Shadow. Do
Oh
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
about
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
one?
The wasn't it a short animation?
I think so, but I just remember seeing the art direction for it and just seeing the concept, and I thought it was very cute. I was really tickled by it just because it was like some guy with a shadow who's interacting with him. It just gave me big like nostalgia, like childhood like wonder vibes. But I also I remember really liking the art style for it. So I guess like Me and My Shadow is one of them. Anything that Robert Valley has made that could not be completed into a full thing, I will support
Every single
wholeheartedly.
Beatles movie, not Beatles,
Every
Gorillas movie.
every Gorillaz movie ever, anything that Jamie Hewlett has done that he hasn't fully completed, I am in full support of. But yeah, I'm. That was an interesting question. It just made me realize I don't know. I don't retain a lot of like canceled projects. I guess like
For
12 Forever was one of them too, but I don't know. I kind of fell out of
no, 12
liking
Forever
12
is still
Forever.
it became a full thing proper.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say
So.
it was canceled or anything like that. It just like, transitioned into something else. For me it's the modifiers. If anybody's like been paying attention to
Oh
that.
yeah.
The one pilot
Yeah.
that it had and then it disappeared off the face of the planet because they were cowards.
Oh my god. Wait. No. I know exactly which canceled project I should have brought up. Welcome to Eltingville. Do you know that one?
No, I don't know. Welcome to Eltingville?
Welcome to Eltingville. It was a comic and it had like 3 episodes. I could be wrong. It had either 1 episode or 3 episodes pitched to Adult Swim. It was about a group of like 4 nerdy guys who had like their own little nerd fan club, but they were like toxic. They were like the worst kind
Wait,
of nerd
wait.
possible. They were so bad.
Have you seen Casey Green, the
Yes.
comic artist, and like I forget what the anime club his like
Yes.
series.
That's exactly what it is.
No,
It's
because
like anime.
I'm looking at this right now and I see this like the fat nerd.
No, exactly. It is basically Welcome to Eltingville is basically Anime Club, but for like all sorts of nerd media. Like I
They
think
got
like before.
tabletops and yeah.
Yeah, they got tabletops, they got horror, they got anime, I think anime, and they got like superhero comics. That's like the 4 things that they all stood for. And it was just a show about a bunch of like teenage boys who are the worst possible toxic nerds ever, just fighting with each other. And I loved it. It was so great. So, Welcome to Eltingville is like probably one of my favorite canceled projects ever.
This is just like peak like internet core. Like,
Literally, it's core. It's truly so awful. It's brilliant.
but yeah, no, okay. That's fun. I gotta check this out now because like this looks very funny.
I think it's all on YouTube, so for sure you could definitely watch all of it for free.
Yeah, the Eltingville Club, I think is the name of the
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
or Welcome to Eltingville. Yeah.
Mhm.
So for anybody looking, if you're on YouTube, I have it up on screen right now. But anyone listening, ELTINGVILLE. Welcome to Eltingville, and you can find it there. But yeah, no, that was a fun question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gio Ume Jr. Next question by Clipster Zimister at Smartphone Artist CF
Mhm.
asks, how do you find your niche in terms of style in your works? Does it help to be in a certain scene or environmental aesthetic? That's interesting.
That is interesting. I feel like
I think we
I've
discussed this for you earlier. A little
yeah,
bit.
I feel like in terms of aesthetic or like style, I mean like I guess like all of my art, no matter what I'm drawing, has a distinct style to it. I've gotten a lot of people tell me that my art feels very grungy and very like sharp. And even if I'm drawing something like Bluey, um But I don't think it's like anything that I like put myself in a headspace for unless it's like if I'm drawing like a pretty moody, edgy piece, I'll probably put on like edgy music while I draw it. But for the most part, like not really. Like usually my drawing process is I have an idea, I draw it, and on the side I'm like watching like a video essay that's completely irrelevant to what I'm drawing. But in the rare occasion where the mood is pretty important, I'll like have like a playlist or something of music that I put together to draw it. But yeah, I feel like the aesthetic is like whatever quote unquote aesthetic I have is pretty ingrained in me at this point that it just kind of like seeps into everything I draw, whether I mean for it to or not. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting question.
Yeah. I don't know about me and my own aesthetic. I mean, a lot of what I do comes from my architectural background more often than not.
Mm.
So a lot of sharp lines, a lot of that's because that's just how I like interpret the world or construction or like building something or a piece of art. I just look at things like, okay, how can I convey this in straight lines or in a simple enough way that it can be simplified like that.
That makes a lot of sense for you. That's cool. I mean, I
And
guess that makes sense why, like, when it comes to drawing like city stuff, like it like looks just so like correct in your art style, if that makes sense. Like everything is so angular, so like drawing cities, which is all just rectangles and stuff, it makes sense. It's cohesive, basically.
yeah, I feel like for me, I just draw characters and cityscapes in a very similar mindset. Like if you look at my
Mm.
backgrounds, I mean, even I do simplify things a lot, and I do make
Mhm.
things like I have a very distinct aesthetic that I go for, but I feel like the characters and the environment mesh well with each other because they come through a similar sort of design philosophy.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool.
But yeah, I hope that answered your question, Clipster. And next up
Thanks, Clipster.
is Pio at Pio45 on Twitter. Asks, I have no questions, but just thank you. Thank you for giving me a ton of inspiration. You and Spike are true legends.
Aw, thank you, Pio. Pio's wonderful. I've seen Pio around in streams and my replies. They're always very sweet. Thank you, Pio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at Friday Devils on Twitter asks, excited. Question, if he had the financial freedom to work on a project, say an MTV-esque cartoon, what sort of story do you see?
Oh, I feel like if it's like for an animated series, I would probably want to see like I guess like I would want to see something kind of like my Simpsons AU, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be the Simpsons, but I guess it's like I enjoy watching cartoons about 20 somethings just doing their thing, you know? Kind of like Downtown or like even like something like Regular Show or Dan Versus or Undergrads or Clerks, just like stuff like that, like just kind of tickles my fancy, just the sort of mundane nature of being an adult who's not that old but not that young either. But if I did have my budget to do anything I wanted, not just an animated series, and I've said this before on my Twitter, but I would want an I would want a live action dramatic show that's akin to like Euphoria in terms of like cinematography for my OCs. Like I want like a live action prestige TV HBO series of my OCs.
Oh,
And I don't know how it and it's like my OC's like the classic rock one, so it's like my OC Juniper who's like a nepo baby turned into a rock star's wife, and like my other OC Charlie who's like a folk rock star but also low-key a bit of a cult leader and stuff like that. Like I would want to see that, but like in like prestige TV form. So that's my ultimate indulgence.
oh man, that's yeah, no. That pretty much answers that question for like an MTVS like thing.
Yeah.
Would you want it to be a show, or would you want it to be like a long form television series, like long
Uh,
episodes, like hour long episodes?
I guess maybe like hour-long episodes, because the thing about the stories that I make is I can't imagine them running for very long.
Okay.
So I like the idea of them kind of releasing in long episodes, but few episodes. I like miniseries, basically, like
Okay.
Fooly Cooly
Got you.
or
Got you.
some
Got you. Got you.
like
Got you.
I just think they're neat. I just think they're neat.
Yeah. I If I had to do something for myself, I just want an anthology series where I can invite a bunch of different directors. So
Like Space Dandy.
yeah, like Space Dandy, Aeon Flux did a bunch of that too. Animatrix, if you remember seeing that.
Oh, true.
I just
True.
I just like the idea of a bunch of different people's takes on a setting, and particularly the setting I want is like my own, like Boxcar City.
That would be so sick. I think that would be really cool. I feel like the DC shorts also basically did something like that where they had like a bunch of different like it's like Robert Valley did the Wonder Woman thing for
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool.
Because it's just fun. I just like the idea of collaboration in that scale and just a bunch of different people's takes on a setting.
I agree. That is pretty neat.
And I hope that answers Friday's questions, Friday Devil's questions.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Bouyog at B00Yog on Twitter. And Bouyog says, I've noticed that much of your artwork is inspired by hyperfixation slash fandoms you are involved in. Do you ever experience anxiety about openly displaying your interests to the public? If so, how do you balance between that and your desire to share what you are passionate about?
Huh. I guess I've never. Well, you know what? I was gonna say I never really thought of that, but I have thought of it. Where it's like you're really into something, but you're kind of embarrassed about making stuff for it because you don't really want people to see that you're into it. That was low key what I was. That was low key kind of my mindset when I was really into the Onceler in like 2019 of all years, where I was making like Onceler art and stuff, but I was like really embarrassed to say that it was Onceler art, but I really wanted to show people. But at some point, I was just kind of like, fuck it, whatever. It's the Onceler, baby. So I think from there on, I've grown to be like less like self-conscious about the things that I make because ultimately it's kind of like, hey, if you like follow me or whatever, like you're kind of subjecting yourself to whatever shit that I make. So you kind of have no choice on what I'm making or not. I am I am victim to my own whims, like I've said earlier. Like I can't control the hyperfixation. So, if anything, and also like for any interest that I have, there is a fandom for it somewhere. So even if my general audience doesn't like it, there's someone who will. And I'm doing it for that someone. So, I don't think I really feel embarrassed about my hyperfixations anymore just cuz I'm also like what? I'm like 26. I'm like too old to like really feel self-conscious about the things that I like. I'm just trying to do my own thing. So, yeah.
No, exactly. Just have fun with it. At the end of the day, nothing's that serious where you gotta like be too embarrassed about anything.
100% for sure. I feel like especially after like the pandemic, I think a lot of people have adopted the life's too short. Just do what you're just like what you're into even if you think it'd be cringe. It's whatever. Just do your thing. And I like that mindset. I think that's what everyone should aspire to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I hope that answers Booya's question.
Mhm.
Next up is Newt at Supreme Newt on Twitter. And Newt says, "You're the type of artist I aspire to be. Thank you for creating."
Aw, thank you, Newt. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Next up is a very funny one. I had to open up a new tab just to like make this for you, but
Oh God.
Kia asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I have a separate thing that I set up in another tab just for this. But and
You
if
know
you're on
what it
YouTube,
is.
you get to see it happen live. Well, not live, but like after the fact. But Kia asks first at Hapa Musubi on Twitter, what era, if any, of your own art are you most nostalgic for?
Probably my probably my Onceler roleplay era, just because of how unhinged.
Roleplay? Okay.
Shut up.
Where you would roleplay as the Onceler?
No,
No?
not all the time. No, but it was okay, so like my like OCs, like the redhead and her like Don Draper-esque dad. Um
Juniper?
Juniper and her dad Oz. They were basically Audrey and the Onceler that I repurposed as OCs.
Oh my god! I can't even blame you. I repurposed one of my, like, My Hero Academia OCs as a protagonist currently in
See,
my comic. So yeah.
I think the reason why I'm nostalgic for my Onceler days is because when I tell you that I was drawing like an actual machine every day, like every day I was drawing some new shit, and it wasn't just some doodles or whatever. Like I was talking full pieces of my Onceler AU. And I just want to capture that energy of just being unabashedly, constantly inspired again. So I'm nostalgic for that.
I can't believe the Onceler caused your artistic growth to, like, rapid fire grow.
It's kind of like Homestuck.
Yeah.
When you're in the right setting, you just kind of like exponentially progress.
That's very funny. Alright. Are there any style/art influences you see in your work that you wish you didn't have? Okay.
That's actually a cool one. I wish and this is something I'm realizing now as I'm drawing a lot more like real people. I wish my art wasn't so stylized sometimes, because I want to be able to do something like studies or like realism without, because like I can't, like if the muscle memory is there, like I can't help but want to draw in these like straight lines and angles and stuff like that, and like viewing the things that I see through the lens of my own art style. So that's one of those things I was like trying to unlearn, because I want to get better at doing like observational, like blanc air, or like studies, like master studies. I want to be able to do more of that, but it's going to take me a bit to get there. So I wish that I was able to draw more realistically, if you will.
So you
But
want
yeah,
to have, I mean, that's not necessarily saying there's an influence that you don't want to have, but you want to expand your artistic horizons, is what you're saying.
exactly.
All right.
Yeah, like I like the style that I have, but I wish that I was capable of doing more, basically.
And Kia also asks, you have a media studies Bachelor of Arts, or not a BFA.
Yeah,
How did that
I
end
do
up
not.
affecting your art, pros/cons?
Okay, so I feel so obviously, like I mentioned earlier, like art is more of my hobby. Like I have a day job, I went to college for non-art things, and there's a lot of things that like that was like a bit of a benefit, but also a bit of like a setback, because I don't know, like I have like I had a very hard time with like academics in general. When I was in college, I was struggling a lot, like with like mental health and whatever. So I think not doing art in an academic setting helped a lot to keep the art aspect of my life separate from the academic/professional aspect. Like I would like I always wanted art to be for me first and foremost. So if I ever engage with it in an academic setting, like going to art school or whatever, I feel like that would have really affected my relationship with the act of drawing.
Mm-hmm,
But at the same time, I wish that I did have that like formal training, those resources, that environment of pushing yourself to be able to make more work. Because for more or less of my life, I've always been working at my own pace. I'm like basically self-taught. Like I never taught myself. Like I mean, I never taught myself. Like I never really took formal drawing lessons. Like it's always kind of been intuitive. So in a sense, like I wish I was able to get more formal training so I could really understand like the craft that I've devoted myself to, but at the same time, I really like being able to not only just make the art, but also be able to examine it from an academic point of view that is separate from the creation of art. Like I can analyze art and I can be critical of the way that I consume media and analyze media because of my background in media studies and stuff like that. So it's made me a lot more like conscious about the things that I am creating and the things that I am consuming, but at the expense of any sort of formal training. But yeah.
So I have a few opinions on that myself because I did go
Mhm.
to art school 2 times,
Mhm.
one for architecture, one for animation, and honestly, for architecture, it makes sense because like you do need to have some sort of iterative technical knowledge of like the programs that you need to make or like how to build models because like
Mhm.
you need those fundamentals on like how a building works
Yeah, of
and like
course.
how design like it's more graphic design oriented than anything else.
Yes.
Not really art, but like functional art.
Mhm.
For animation, on the other hand, where it was more of a subjective sort of art school experience,
Mhm.
I think what I took out of it most was being surrounded by peers within art,
Yeah.
less so learning from the teachers because a lot of the teachers were pretty hands off, or like if you have questions for them, they can try and steer you towards like what they feel is right. But at the end of the day, it's you do what you do and you do what you feel
Mhm.
is correct
Mhm.
because that's what that type of art is. But like what really helped me out is just having art rivals, for lack of a better word, in close proximity.
Art rivals. That's so true. Yes.
And I think that helps a lot for this is like my one benefit for art school. Like you get to network with people and you get to
Mhm.
be surrounded by people that are very similar to you in terms of pursuits, like especially if you're going for animation, you would like to be with other animators, for example.
For sure. It's all
But
about that like having that like environment around you that
but
will facilitate your own work.
I say that because like I didn't have that environment growing up and I didn't have that sort of presence online, so art school definitely helped me for that. But I kind of have the art school experience outside of art school right now currently, where like
Mhm.
I have that platform on Twitter or online
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
Newgrounds where I'm just constantly surrounded by peers and like people looking at my art and like everyone's just like looking at each other's art and like commenting on it or what they like
Mhm.
or what they appreciate. And that's like the one major motivator that art school gave me is just having people that enjoy your stuff and are enjoying your progress as an artist. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the technical stuff you can kind of learn that on your own, honestly speaking.
Yeah. I think that's what I've gleaned from most people who I know have went to art school, where it really is like the social aspect and and the um the like you said, like the rivalry, even if it's like academic rivalry or whatever, it really helps motivate you.
Yeah.
But in terms of like technical skill and like learning the thing, you can really get that from anywhere else. But it's all about like the setting in which you are getting that information and those lessons in. But yeah, that's really cool.
And the last thing that Kia asks is, let her do her Beatles tier list, Gens. And I'm like, you know what? Sure.
Yeah!
I opened up a new tab right now. Everyone can see it on YouTube.
Yay!
All the main Beatles albums are on here. No spin-offs, no solo albums. This is just their own work.
Yay!
and
Okay.
it's not organized in any particular way. But let's hear the White Album. This is the first one on the list. Between
Okay.
D, C, B, A, and S, where would you put White
Um,
Album?
maybe this is pretty controversial of me, but put White Album dead last.
Oh, I was gonna put it at C, but you're saying D. Okay.
Because okay, my reasoning is that I have, and maybe this is unfair, but I have been completely unable to sit through an entire listening of the White Album because it's just so long,
Yep.
and a lot of the songs, to me, read as filler. Like there are some bangers in there, but Obla Di Obla Da is not one of them. Sorry.
Obadi, obada,
So I would say
yeah.
you were gonna put it in C.
I was gonna put it in C. I was not thinking it'd be like so bad that it goes to the.
Uh, you
Okay,
know what?
okay, okay. Because here's the thing, like,
When it's bad, it's bad. But when it's good,
because my thing with the Beatles is like I don't think there's like a definite stinker album.
no.
White Album is definitely lower on that list but that was also towards the end.
Yeah. It's like it was right before, like, what was it? It was right before Abbey Road. So they were kind of like, But you know what? Maybe I'll let it be in the C tier because the bangers that are there, like Back in the USSR,
Oh,
Revolution,
that was a good song, yeah.
uh, uh, While My Guitar Gently Weeps is like everyone's favorite George song. It's not mine, but I will give it its flowers. And Happiness is a Warm Gun is pretty good. So you know what? It can go in C. I won't be a White Album hater.
Okay, next up on the list is speaking of Let It Be, right?
Okay.
Where
I
would you
would
put
say
Let It Be?
I would say Let It Be is also C tier for me, just because I feel like to come after Abbey Road is such a nerf. It's hard to follow up after Abbey Road, but like it does have Let It Be. It has Across the Universe, which I do like,
Across the
but the
Universe is also
production,
like a song I enjoy, yeah.
yeah, but I don't know if I like Phil Spector's production on it. It's a bit overwhelming. But I guess for the song, it makes sense. And I like Dig a Pony because it reminds me of something the Arctic Monkeys would sing in like their AM era or their Suck It and See era. If you
Okay,
listen to Dig
yeah.
a Pony, it sounds like something off of Suck It and See, right? Like I'm not crazy.
I would need to give it a re-listen right now. I can kind of hear it, but Arctic Monkeys also had a very particular sound in the very beginning.
Yeah, but like Suck It and See was I don't think I'd say it was in the beginning because what did it come before or after Humbug?
Did it? I can't say for certain.
I can't say for certain, but it was more in like the middle of their career. It was their like schmaltzy ballad era, and I didn't like it. But it's okay, I love them. But yeah, I would say Let It Be is also C tier
Okay.
for me.
Would you say it's above White Album or below White Album?
I would say it's probably below White
Yeah,
Album.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on
Yeah.
board. Next up is Revolver. I'm tempted to put this. Okay, what's your opinion on it?
I would say S tier.
Yeah, I was gonna go
Yeah.
there too. I fucking
This
love
is
Revolver.
This is a Revolver household. Like even like even the songs that people don't really talk about. Like I'm Only Sleeping is one of my favorite like Lennon songs. And I feel like no one talks about it. I really like it though. I just think it's so chill. And also of course like it has Tomorrow Never Knows. So like duh.
Yeah, Tomorrow Never Knows is a great song. It's also
Also
Taxman.
Taxman. Taxman top 3 George songs. I don't care what anyone says.
I just love Revolver. It's a very good album. One
It
of my personal
is.
favorites. I think it is. I don't know if it's my top favorite, but whatever. I'll put it there.
It's definitely S tier for sure.
Yeah.
Is it the only S tier? We don't know yet.
Next up is Abbey Road.
Uh, is it? Okay, but this is my because like I like Abbey Road and I think it deserves to be an S tier, but it's not S tier to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
Actually,
makes...
no. Actually, yeah. I would say it's A tier in terms of personal taste, but in terms of holistic career like trajectory, it is definitely S tier.
I know it's like for a lot of people it's iconic Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Not I wouldn't say for me it's iconic Beatles because again I was not around during that era. So
Clearly. We weren't there in 1969.
so that's just my feelings on it, but I cannot deny that it's like, whatever. This is your tier list, it's not mine.
No, but I feel like I need someone to like be able to like be like, oh no, wait, you gotta take this into consideration. But for like Abbey Road, I think like the standout songs like really do stand. Like I Want You, She's So Heavy was my favorite Beatles song for like most of my life. Octopus's Garden is I think the best aquatic themed song sung by Ringo.
Yeah, yeah.
And the medley is just so good. Oh, the band that you played, Ordinary People, they did an Abbey Road medley.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
on
yeah.
their Spotify. Wink.
But yeah, next up on the list is Meet the Beatles.
Mm, ah, C tier? No, would I say it's better than the White Album? I mean, it's like it's got 8 days a week, which is cute.
Yeah, that's a fun song.
It is, but is it enough to carry the whole album?
It's so this is where I'm like, I was not willing to put like White Album all the way dead last at D because it still had some like really cool production stuff as well as Let It Be.
Yeah.
But like Meet the Beatles is where I'm like, maybe.
I think it is D tier. I think it's D tier because it deserves to be D tier. Like White Album and Let It Be are D tier because I personally am not the biggest fan of them. But Meet the Beatles.
Meet the Beatles is definitely like I'm like, all right. I'm not.
Wait, fuck. No, 8 days a week is not on Meet the Beatles. It's on Beatles for Sale. I'm thinking about Beatles for Sale. Meet the Beatles, yeah. Meet the Beatles has what fucking oh my god, All My Lovin'? Doesn't it have? It's the one where it's like it's their like.
I wanna.
It's
be
like their
your
faces.
Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's also not really that special, so I guess it could still go in D tier. I was thinking of Beatles
All
for
My
Sale.
Lovin', Hold Me Tight. Well, what else does it have?
It's full of cute ones. It's cute. It's their mop top era, so it's like their cute little teeny bopper sucker bopper era.
The era where like a bunch of like different artists were doing the same sort of like music.
Exactly. So I think it is D tier based off of like musical technicality.
Yeah. Imagine like, the alternate universe where the Monkees became the Beatles.
Imagine the alternate universe where the Kinks became the Beatles. They actually did win out in that little brief moment where they popped the Beatles in the charts.
No, the Monkees also had they had a really wild career. Like,
they were crazy. Didn't they have like a TV show because they were supposed to be a riff on the Beatles?
That was a completely different thing, and like that was also insane. There was a lot of whatever. That's a separate discussion.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, Meet the Beatles, D tier, but I love it. But it's bad.
Then there is Please Please Me.
Okay, I feel bad because are we going to put all of their early albums in the D tier just because they're not technically great? Because I like Please Please Me, it's cute.
I'm trying to think of like what songs were on Please Please Me that like
Twist and Shout? Hello? I saw her standing there.
Oh, okay.
Like C tier.
Okay. I'll put it. I'm willing to concede low C tier. For please,
low C tier. God damn. Okay, you know what? That's fair because I don't remember a lot of the rest of the album.
Would I put it over Let It Be, or like the White Album?
Now you're making me feel bad for putting Let It Be in D tier.
No, I put Let It Be in C tier. That's where I put it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's definitely below Let It Be,
Okay.
but it is C tier.
It's such a funny look. I mean, like, again, it was that specific era of Beatles.
And
And
they're
like,
yeah,
it didn't have like terrible songs on there, but it just didn't have anything that like wowed me in particular.
exactly. I guess because that was like the era where they really didn't like stand out. They were just doing the rock and roll shit like everyone else was. So you know what? They hadn't found themselves yet, but they were being pretty cute during it, so they can get C.
Next up on the list is Beatles for Sale.
Okay, Beatles for Sale can go in C, and that I can say with complete certainty because it's
Okay.
good, but it doesn't stand out to me because it's a sandwich between. What is a sandwich? It's sandwich between Help and Rubber Soul. So it's like really hard to stand out when you're between those two albums. So it gets forgotten a lot for me. So it's going into C.
I'm trying to remember like what was like a particular track on there that like I really
8 Days a Week is on that one.
Yeah,
I'm a
8 Days a Week.
Loser is
I'm a
also
Loser
on
is
it.
also on that one, but like I'm not gonna like put it on top for just 2 songs. Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's not gonna happen. But alright.
Yeah, it's a low C tier. Actually, is it even C tier? Nah, it can be D tier if you really want it to be. Because I really don't remember much of it.
Yeah, it had the 2 songs, and yeah, that's I agree. I will put it above Meet the Beatles.
Yeah, it could be there, but not all the way. It's not above Let It Be for sure.
Yeah. Then there's Rubber Soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you first, you first.
Okay, I was gonna put it like either low A or like firm B tier.
Okay, I agree with that because because I would say that Rubber Soul is when they really start becoming the Beatles as we
Yeah.
know them.
The capital
like-
B Beatles, yeah.
The capital B, the capital T, the capital
The
B
capital
Beatles.
Yeah.
Because like also Drive My Car is one of my favorite Beatles songs,
Yeah,
and
Drive
Nowhere
My
Man
Car
is also
phenomenal. Nowhere Man is also really good, yeah.
it's just so cute, and also the scene in
Girl
Yellow
is also a
Submarine.
really good one too.
Girl is amazing. Fucking what the fuck is it? Michelle, Norwegian Wood. Friggin' duh.
Oh, if
I
I
would
needed
say-
someone,
Oh, Rubber
Okay.
Soul is good.
Rubber
Okay,
Soul,
it could
yeah.
go in low A.
Yeah, okay. Low A is where Rubber Soul is heading. Yeah, so I had to remember like a bunch of like the actual tracks in there.
Oh, because it's so good. Also, it has In My Life, which
Yes, also a
uh,
song that makes me feel feelings. Yeah, okay. Wait, does
okay,
it
you
have-
know what? Rubber Soul, you deserve
Yeah.
your A.
Yeah, Rubber Soul gets a firm A. It deserves it.
It does.
Next up on the list is which one? Oh yeah, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely.
I would say it's definitely, and maybe this is cliche, but I do think it is S tier.
Okay.
I think so because like because regardless of how like retrospectives have looked at it since, because I've seen a lot of people be like, and even the Beatles themselves, I think they've been like, it's not really a concept album because, not gonna lie, like any of these songs could have been on any other album. Like there's not really a cohesive like string that's like stringing them along for it to be a concept album. But like it's just so friggin' iconic. Like even down to the album cover, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I would put it in S tier just because of sheer pop cultural like
With a little help from my
impact.
friends, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds,
Fucking A Day in the Life.
A Day in the Life, yeah, When I'm 64.
I think it deserves its S tier ranking. I can see why people would be like, it's a little overrated. Because I'm like, is it their strongest album? No, I don't think so. But is it a strong album? Yes.
Oh, very much so.
Very much so. And I will finish that Vocaloid like parody of the Sgt. Pepper cover at some point. Hopefully before Anime NYC.
All right, next up on the list is Help.
maybe this is just me, but I really love Help.
Help
I don't know.
Help is fun.
It's
The
I would say it's
titular
like
song, like
it's cute.
no, it has another girl. It has Yesterday.
It also it has Yesterday. My personal favorite is Ticket to Ride.
Ticket
Just
to
because
Ride is
also
fun. You like the fun
this
songs.
I do like the fun songs because they're so cute. Drive My Car, Ticket to Ride, like Octopus's Garden. I like the silly Beatles songs.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would
But
put it in B tier though. What?
This is where I struggle because like I have a very hard time putting like the album with Yesterday.
Are you trying to put it in A tier?
I'm trying. I'm willing to. I want to put it like below Rubber Soul, but there's no B tier right now, so you know what? Fuck it. It goes on B tier.
Actually, you know what? No. You can put it under Rubber Soul because I know what I'm gonna put in B tier. I think it's the only album left.
No, there are two left.
Oh shit.
There's A Hard Day's Night.
And what's the other one?
The Magical Mystery Tour.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? Put Help in A tier.
Yeah, okay. Help is going in A. It has Yesterday. I can't. That song is just too good. It's too good.
It's too good. Paul really popped off. He put his whole you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say that whole thing.
You can say it. You know, I don't care.
He put his whole McPussy into it.
I can't believe that. Yeah. Oh, hey.
No, please no.
I sang about Yesterday. I had to go off just a little bit, you know. Hey.
Also, maybe this is problematic, but I love the Help movie, even though it's super racist. It's so racist.
It's such a fucking wild film. But
It's
yeah.
so good. I could go off about Help, but you gotta continue, or else I will keep going off about it.
Yeah. A Hard Day's Night is the next one.
B.
Yeah.
Hard B. It's good. Is it great? No. Is the movie great? Yes.
It's so.
Wait.
I'm trying to think of like very specific things in A Hard Day's Night. I mean, like again, yeah, the song A Hard Day's Night.
And I Love Her is a good one though. It's a strong one for me. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs.
Well, it also has If I Fell in Love with You.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? No, I'm still keeping it in B, but And I Love Her and If I Fell are two of the most romantic Beatles songs, and I don't care what people say. Especially because Kurt Cobain did a cover of And I Love Her. Yeah. It was released in like the basement demos, and I was like, wow, this is the song ever.
I'm Just Happy to Dance with You.
That one is cute.
Can't Buy Me Love, which is another like classic Beatles that like almost everybody knows that song.
I love that one. I love the ascending, descending crescendo.
Okay.
Money can't buy me love.
And then A Hard Day's Night is another classic.
It's so good. That guitar chord at the beginning, man. Okay, you know what? Hard Day's Night got bangers, but it's still a B. It's got bangers. It's a B for bangers.
B for bangers. All right.
last one.
I'm almost willing to put Help below B just to boost A Hard Day's Night, but it also has Yesterday, and that song's too fucking good.
You shut up. We spent like 5 minutes like blowing smoke up Help's ass for you to want to put A Hard Day's Night above it. SMH.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it has classics that people think when they think Beatles, like it has a few.
They think Yesterday.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting.
You're welcome.
And then there's Magical Mystery Tour.
Okay, I had a bit of a renaissance with this one recently, because at first I was like, Magical Mystery Tour is kind of annoying, but I started listening to it again while I was crossfaded, so I was in the perfect state of mind to do it, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, yo, Sgt. Pepper found dead, because there are some things that Magical Mystery Tour does that Sgt. Pepper was going in the direction of doing, but did not nail it.
Hello, goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, All You Need Is Love.
I Am the Walrus.
I'm the Walrus. Yeah.
A
Penny
Fool
Lane.
on the Hill.
Yeah.
Dude,
Baby,
Magical
You're a
Mystery Tour
Rich Man.
popped off.
It's. I'm tempted to put it like S, personally.
I'm not gonna lie. I was also thinking it, but I was like, whoa, is that blasphemous to put Magical Mystery Tour above Abbey Road? No, just kidding, not Abbey Road. But like, I guess Let It Be. Yeah, everything is going above Let It Be. Put it in S.
Yeah. Let It Be.
It's just Magical Mystery Tour was so good. I really love it because like I love the psychedelic era that the Beatles like went into, especially in like '97 onwards, because like Summer of Love, Flower Power, and I really love that Magical Mystery Tour just accidentally, and not accidentally, maybe more like intentionally, but it was just like a spookier Sergeant Pepper. Does that make sense? It's a little spooky in some aspects.
I'm trying. I mean, like, I feel it's more somber. Like,
Yeah,
it's a sadder
I guess
album.
somber. I guess spooky to me is somber to you because it's definitely like a little heavier than Sergeant Pepper.
I mean, Strawberry Fields is just like
Is rough.
there's something about that song.
It's haunting is
Yeah.
the best way to. It haunts you, and then Penny Lane is like the happy version of it, which I think is delightful.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I would put it in S tier because it, mwah,
Okay,
bueno
so,
album.
So let's organize S tier a little bit. I put Revolver at the very top. I just love that
Yeah.
album too much.
Because it's good. It's a great album.
So between Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper, which one do you feel deserves more?
I think Sgt. Pepper should still stay ahead of Magical Mystery Tour because Sgt. Pepper laid the pavement
True.
that Magic Mystery Tour ended up walking down on.
All right. And then on A tier, it's the way how it's organized right now. It's Abbey Road, then Rubber Soul, then Help.
Yeah, I think that's well. Do you agree with Rubber Soul being before Help?
Like ahead of Help?
Yeah.
I would say so. I think that was like an iconic Beatles moment. Help had iconic
Yeah.
songs. Help had Yesterday, but I don't think like I'm willing to put it like way above Rubber Soul
But,
just
like,
for like.
Exactly. Like Help is like it's got Yesterday.
It's also got
but-
Help, which is again another like iconic song.
True. But Rubber Soul is when the Beatles started smoking weed. So like I'm just saying
Check out the wacky tobacco. Oh, ooh,
the devil's lettuce.
the devil's lettuce.
So I think just by virtue of that alone, Rubber Soul's just gotta because it really marked the second half of their career, which
Yeah.
was
It was the transitioning point. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I agree with that placement.
A Hard Day's Night is like the okay. So when I decide like B tier is just like Beatles at the core. Like this is Beatles, and like what's above like what Beatles are.
TM.
Yeah. Beatles.
B-
for Beatles.
Beatles.
Beatles. Okay. A for Abbey Road.
Yes. So wait, so like I feel like our tier list is pretty solid.
Yeah. On C we put White Album, Let It Be, and Please Please Me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then very dead last is just Meet the Beatles and what was the other one we put down there? Oh, I'm blanking out on that. That's how forgettable the album was to me.
I'm fucking dead. I don't even see the chart right now, but I just trust your judgment.
Trying to remember.
It's okay. Just post the complete. Just like take a screenshot and just post the image
Yeah.
on Twitter.
I'll send it to you. No, you posted. You made the tier list. It's yours.
Oh, true. Hell yeah. Thank you. Anyway,
Let me take.
how
a
long did we
screenshot of this.
spend on that? That was all Kia.
Yeah, that was just a bunch of Kia questions. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, send it to you right now. Sorry for everybody
Thank-
listening right now. I'm just like trying to like organize this Beatles tier list. I wonder how my friend Cody's gonna feel about this, cause like I
Oh
might have
yeah!
I might have a separate like Beatles tier list with him next time I have him on.
Oh my god, yes. And then you should put our, oh my gosh, you should have the two of us and we should have like a Beatles off, just like a debate class, but only for
Uh,
why this Beatles album is the best.
I'll have a beat
I'll
off
go
with you
in.
any time of day. Oh. I just love the idea of like either Lennon or McCartney saying that.
Literally. God.
I remember
I'm
like
gonna
when I used to live with Cody, is just like slash Azu, we would just do a bunch of skits with the voices. It
Oh
was
my
just so much
god.
fun. We were just very insufferable about it. I miss it. I'm gonna have more. And
God.
he's very good with impressions too. He's a very fun dude.
Invite him to Beatles themed karaoke night.
Oh, if he ever comes up to New York. But yeah, I gave you the tier list right now.
Wow. We were
I
so real for this ranking. I'm afraid to post it because what if people jump us for putting Let It Be so far down?
yeah, I'm not afraid of Beatles fans. What's the worst they did? Murdered the two of them.
Murder Lennon again. They dig up his corpse just to shoot him a second time.
Yeah.
Or like I guess like a seventh time. Who cares?
Okay, Kia, thank you for the questions. We spent like a good 20 minutes on the tier list.
She's definitely gonna DM me later. She literally just DM me now. She says thank you.
Enjoy. Next up is Spiker Monster.
Woohoo!
Questions. Number 1 is, what are some comforting words that you would tell your younger self and perhaps other younger artists as well? So if you were to talk to younger you about art, what would you say?
I would say I would say it's not that deep. I think younger me tried so hard to be a specific type of artist that I just wasn't ready to be yet. So I think like she didn't really know how to like really just have fun with it without being seen as cringe, even though when you're a teenager you're inherently cringe, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would tell my younger self to just really like focus on having fun with it first and foremost. Like don't worry about other people, don't worry about comments, engagement or whatever. Like just do it for you first, and then anyone else who happens to like it after is a bonus, but it's not the end all be all. So yeah, just have more fun with it basically.
Yeah. If I were to like talk to 12-year-old me or like younger, I'd be like, look at your stuff right now. Imagine if you started when you were 12 instead of 20.
No. Listen, I started at like what 8, and I don't know how to animate, so you're already ahead of me.
Yeah, but like imagine if I started earlier.
Dude, maybe you could be Robert Valley 2.0 right now. Maybe you would be working on Jet Set Radio right now.
Maybe I would be
I'll-
doing like a bunch of crazier things if I were just drawing like way earlier and like treating it like a bit more seriously. Not seriously, but like
Like as like a thing to pursue.
yeah, because I was just
Yeah.
writing a lot back in the day. Writing was the thing. And
Oh,
like
that's interesting.
I had fantasies about webcomics because like I was reading a bunch of webcomics at the time, but then I had this like whole thing where it's just no, I need to like consider like a good future or like profitable career, and then I did
That's
music for some
interesting.
reason.
Damn. You became a musician, TM.
Yeah, and now like honestly, I just wish I drew earlier. That's it.
I think that's so interesting because I was the complete reverse. I dedicated so much of my childhood to being an artist. But then when I was 18 and I was at the age that I could take my art to the next level, I got rejected from my dream school, which was an art school. And that kind of forced me into focusing on other things besides art. And then somehow, some way, I still ended up being able to do something with my art. I just think that's crazy. That's really weird. I guess it just goes to show that like it doesn't really matter like when you start. It's more just about like what the work that you put in as soon as you start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say like I would tell my younger self, there's no shame in art. It's a valuable
Yeah.
pursuit. That's pretty much what I would say. Also, Spike asks, what is something you wish you had known sooner? It's a very interesting
Uh
question.
oh my gosh. I
I,
don't know.
let's keep this in terms of art.
I was gonna say something like, man, I wish I knew how to do this with my insurance earlier, but I think like art wise, I think I really would just be like, I wish I took my fundamentals more seriously when I had the opportunity to actually study them in like an academic structured setting. But I didn't. I goofed off in art class because I was cocky. So
I'm,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of if there was anything I wish I knew sooner. In terms of art, whoo boy. I don't know.
Maybe just like starting it earlier in general is something that you wish you could have known sooner.
Yeah, that like it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like
Exactly.
pursuing art and like if you work at it, it's a viable career choice.
Exactly. Well, 12-year-old you would be shitting himself right now.
Yeah, no, I mean like I'd be like super impressed with the stuff that I'm doing. Like if I were looking at myself like back in the day.
Hell yes. And that's all we should aspire to do. Impress
And
our 12-year-old selves.
oh yeah, no, I'm a lot of the stuff that I do is just very much indulgent to that like era of middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And Spike also asked the last question is anything you wish you had done differently, or are you happy with where your choices took you?
Uh, huh. I guess that's interesting to think about. Because there's always, like, I guess we were just talking about this where, like, I wish I'd known this sooner, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like that very, like, coulda, woulda, shoulda way of looking at your life. But I don't know. I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now where it's like, did I achieve everything I want to achieve yet? No, obviously, because there's always going to be achievements to aspire to. But I'm pretty satisfied with the way things shook out for me. Like, even though I didn't go to art school like I dreamed, I was still able to do something with my art. And now I have the added, you know, I guess for lack of a better term, blessing of being able to pursue something outside of art that I'm just as equally passionate about. But yeah, I guess I would say I'm pretty happy with how things shook out for me. Like, you gotta make a couple fumbles in life before you get to where you really feel like you need to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think ultimately, like the way how I went through life kind of influenced what my art became.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I didn't come at like I'm an artist, but not because like I've been an artist for a long time. It's something that's relatively recent in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the input that I can put into my art is helped by those life experiences outside of art.
Yeah. It's like that thing that people say where it's like that bi-yearly tweet that goes around where it's like artist friendly reminder that you should have interest in hobbies outside of just art. So,
Oh,
you
I,
know,
I I could say that to a lot of art school students, honestly. But yeah,
yeah, like not to say get a hobby, like I'm saying it with love, but like all artists should get a hobby outside of art just to keep yourself like sane.
yeah,
It's like
and also so you could be a bit more motivated with your own art in like other ways.
exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. Like you get just like a lot of like different life lessons and inspirations from non-art fields.
Yeah, that's. I hope that covers all the questions, Spike. And
Mhm.
that's again shout out again to Spike or our monster on Twitter at Spiker Monster. I
For
gave him
the
a shout out
best
earlier.
teen
Yeah,
for the best Teen Simpsons comic you could ever read.
and other projects too.
That is true. He's been working on a lot of Hey Arnold for anyone who likes a lot of Hey Arnold stuff. It's muy bueno. But yeah.
And the last question of the night is by at Melts Draws on Twitter.
Mhm. Mhm.
MELTZ Draws asks, how do you find the cartoons you really get fixated into? Like, do you just search them up or something, or and do you see like do you just search them up or something and see what you find interesting? All right, that
I
this
feel
goes more
like
for you. I
I feel like the things. Oh, sorry. What?
No, I think this is more of a you question.
Oh, I feel like the things that I've ended up getting fixated on are things that have just. It's never something I like search out. It's always something that either like comes to me by complete accident and I'm like, "Whoa, that's really cool." That's how I got into MTV Downtown because it just so happened to show up on my For You page on TikTok. Um, or it's one of those things where it's like I've heard about it constantly. I've never really had the interest to, look into it, but maybe like a friend finally is like, "Hey, you should check this out because this and this happens or this character is in it." And then I do, and then I end up getting fixated on that. It always is like happenstance for me. I don't think I've ever searched out something with the active intention to get into it. It's always just been like a gradual process of consuming the thing more and more before I'm like, "Oh, wait, no. This is all I want to think about right now."
Okay, because I've never really had hyperfixations is the thing.
Mhm.
So it's like a very interesting state of like mind. How do you stumble on something and then make it a priority, like focus
Mhm.
for a long time? Because for me, is whenever I'm really into something, I stay into it for a very long time. And like I have a hard
Mm.
time like separating from it or moving on to something else as passionately.
Yeah, that's like crazy. I feel like for me, my hyperfixations last months. I think like the longest they've lasted is like maybe 2, 3 years. But I don't know. My brain's just always on the move for something new.
Okay, that's really fun and cool. But yeah, that's all the questions we have.
Oh
And
my gosh.
on our end, we hit past midnight. So it's around when we
Yeah.
need to close off. Do you have any closing thoughts that you want to tell other people?
Um, have fun with whatever art it is that you pursue. If you pursue any sort of art or passion in general, you know, if you put your heart, it's one of those cliche things, just like if you put your heart into something, you really get something out of it, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Was that a little like philosophical, or did you want me to like promo something?
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. You can go as philosophical as you want. That's the type of stuff I like
Yeah,
for
that's all
people
I
to
gotta
have on.
share. I got
Yeah,
nothing to promo.
all good. And if you ever do have anything to promo, feel free to have a show about it if you want. You're always welcome to come on
I
by next time too.
Hooray! I can't wait to do a Blur album like tier list one day.
Oh, I
Or
gotta have. You know,
Blur versus Oasis.
I might just have you and Azu on at the same time.
I would love to do a tier list off. Dude, keep me in mind for that next time.
Especially with Blur. No, he would love it. He would have the time of his life. I'm telling you right now.
And I will be looking forward to it.
But yeah, for everybody
Mhm.
listening right now, this has been MEATGIRI on Radio Graffiti. You can follow Meat at the same handle everywhere at MEATGIRI on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Is it on TikTok the same thing?
Yes, and on Newgrounds too.
And on Newgrounds as well. Pretty much
Yay!
everywhere the same name and account. Definitely do check her stuff out. Phenomenal illustrator, up and coming, and you get a sense of a bunch of different media, whatever she's into. She usually has very good tastes, and it's also fun to like keep track of like whatever she's into.
I'm a man of culture, as they say, or at least I hope to be.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say so. I mean,
Yay!
you got people still sticking with you, so you're doing something right.
Very true.
But yeah, and this has been Radio Graffiti. thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you Meat for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yep. All right, guys. Adios, amigos. We're leaving on Ordinary People. Take a hint.
I got a rip a cup from my favorite cut. Take a hit, oh baby, I got tangled in on your angry heart. Wanna wait for my day to start. Before it all came up. I got a bird that whistles, his name is Nicky, he will bark like a dog. I got a dog that walks on two legs, I got two legs but I can't walk. I got a mind that kinda works at certain times right now.